What up, New York Giants fans and football fans all over the world? It is your boy, Mac the Giants fan. I'm here with my guy, Adam Costas, the super dope co-host, who damn sure know the most. This is another edition of the real deal NFC East Roundup. Punch that intro. What is going on out there, everybody? What's happening, man? How y'all feeling today? The preseason is finally all the way over. We a week away from the season kicking off and getting some real football out there, man. How you feeling today, Adam?
It's go time. It's go time. No more wondering, no more pondering. It's go time. Everybody's 0-0, but in a few weeks, half the team will be losing and half the team will be winning, unless you're the Giants, of course. Then you might end up in a tie, but hopefully we'll be on the winning end of our game.
That's what we definitely here to do. What is going on, AK, man? How you feeling today? AK from Eagles Uncensored, y'all. Everybody know what it is, man. Make sure, even though he a Philadelphia Eagles guy, man, y'all still go show my boy AK some love, man, because he be putting that great content out there, working hard for y'all, man. So show my guy AK some love, man. We definitely here to talk some football, though, bro. How you feeling today, AK, man? But yeah, man, how you feeling about the preseason being over, man? How you think about these teams now that you've seen a full preseason of the four squads from the NFC East Division, Adam?
Well, it's kind of funny that you asked that question because I was thinking about how long the preseason was going, and all of a sudden now the preseason is going. We're already at Wednesday of this week, so now it's getting really fast to the season. So this long 3.5 weeks we took to get the preseason, it's finally coming to an end. And you know what? I don't hate the preseason. I enjoy it, but when they've taken the fourth game out of it, for me, a guy who likes players and scouting at the back end of rosters, it doesn't allow for a lot of that stuff, that fine tuning. And I do believe that we're going to see a lot of sloppy football in the beginning because a lot of players didn't play in the third preseason game. I want to do a test this year and maybe go back and see how many teams played their starters and how they come out in week one, as opposed to those who didn't play their starters and how they come out week one. Because a lot of correlations have been shown that people are sloppy because they haven't played the last preseason game. Because again, you play that middle preseason game, that's August 18th, right? So you're not playing another game until September the 10th. That's almost 3.5 weeks not playing football. I always believe you need, a tune-up. Mike Tomlinson, they asked him why he plays his guys. He's like, you need a tune-up before the main fight. And he played his guys. They looked sharp. He took them out. The Jets, they played their guys because they didn't play any preseason, and they got a little taste of what the NFL was. They scored a touchdown, right? So I like the preseason. Glad it's over. Glad we can kick it off in a few weeks and get the real thing. You know what I mean?
That's good. I mean, what's going on? AK, man, he says he's feeling sorry. He said, he's feeling sorry for us because he feels like he's feeling like we're a little overhyped in the New York Giant Nation. I don't know if I agree with that. I mean, I think that other New York team that you just mentioned is the ones that's getting a little overhyped, man. I think we flying under the radar, brother. But we'll see, man. That's why we play the game, man. We don't get to see y'all till Christmas, but hopefully that game will mean something. But we'll find out. Chris Bucco, thanks for joining the chat, man. I appreciate you. I ain't seen you in a while, brother. Hope all is well with you, man. I know you hyped for your New York Jets this year. Got something a little exciting to look forward to out there in New York Jet land. Got our co-host from Premium Take, Zion Zenith, in the chat. What's going on, my brother? Appreciate you for stopping through. Probably working, trying to listen to his homies, man. Really appreciate it. No Mets, no Nets, no Jets, man. Thanks for stopping through, man. You always here holding down the chat, man. Much appreciation, much love. My boy DJ Philly B. What's good with you, bro? Thanks for stopping in today, man. But I'd rather I got no Mets, no Nets, no Jets. Said he'd rather our guys be healthy versus sharp. They can sharpen up the second all. They can sharpen up the second off offense and defense series of the game. We'll see.
Well,
The second offensive and defensive series of the game. We'll see.
well, you can shake the rust off getting hit. Yes, I agree. But if you watch the first few weeks of the NFL season, you can tell that the preseason games have an effect on some of how the sloppiness is in the first few weeks. And remember, the Cowboys came out sloppy. That's why they lost their game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So sloppiness does matter, especially with the Giants right now in their critical season. It is. I believe it's crucial that some of these guys start because it's difficult to finish. The record of the Giants in the second half was 3-6-1. So, they started 7-2. You can't always guarantee you're going to have a hot start like that. So you need to come out and be sharp. One drive to me doesn't really equate to anything. The first 15 plays are always scripted, and the Giants have always looked good in their opening drives last year as well. So it's the drives in between the games. I wanted to see more test of this offensive line, but we'll get into that as we go.
I think I agree with you what you're saying 100%. I think the one problem is with the way preseason has been, especially this past preseason, is a lot of teams just don't play their guys. So it's like who will we really be testing them against? So I think even though we only got one drive from the New York Giants offense all in the entire preseason, I mean, that's still one more drive than the Philadelphia Eagles offense got, and that's still one more drive than the Dallas Cowboys offense had. So I feel you on the rush thing. I think it does. You do have to. It's a real thing. You got to shake that off a little bit. But at the end of the day, I think you're going to see that league wide anyway, and it's just going to be who has. It's going to come down to who wants it at the end of the day. I mean, because I think most teams are going to be a little rusty those first couple of games for that exact reason.
But that's what I said. It's been proven. This is not me just saying, hey, it's going to be rusty. It's last year, the year before that, as less and less teams play their guys, for injury to protect from injury, you see the sloppiness of playing. That's why I say to everybody, getting out of the first 4 games at 2-2, you're on your way because at least you're 500. If you come out of that stretch 1-3. And then you try to hit your stride later in the season, you may not hit your stride. Guys get banged up. There's no guarantees. The NFL is a funny game, right? And unlike certain sports where you don't necessarily need the preseason or start your guys at all or anything like that, you can just jump right in. The NFL, your body does take a toll. Why do you think all the Giant players went down in the game? Because the intensity the Jets came out with was so fierce, and our guys were coming through saying it was a preseason game, that some of those hits that they took shook their bodies a little more, and that's why a lot of them Bobby McCain got absolutely drilled, okay? A few other guys got absolutely leveled in the game. You're like, damn, these guys are hitting. And sometimes if you don't get that violent nature of it all, when somebody does hit you like that, it kind of is a shock. And then, of course, the timing and everything like that. So I'm just saying, we're arguing over whether or not we're playing preseason game. Let's be honest. I'm just saying it's, to me, my opinion, I think sometimes I'm old school. You play them a quarter or a half because of the time that they have from game number 3 to game 1 of the regular season. So.
Look, man, I'm loving the chat right now. Shots being fired in the chat. AK, Eagles Uncensored, no Mets, no Nets, no Jets. They going back and forth in the chat. I'm loving it, man. Shots being fired, man. Appreciate y'all, brother. Look, man, overhyped thing, you can say whatever we want, man. Look, I think you're forgetting one thing, AK. I'm going to just remind you of something, man. I understand that our roster still doesn't stack up to, like, for instance, the Eagles roster, top to bottom, hands down. I give you all that, man. I know you got there's things that still got to be proven on the field, but at the end of the day, I think you're forgetting one key factor. As you keep saying, all you guys got was Waller and Simmons. No, we got a second year under Coach Brian Dable, the coach of the year from a year ago. Coaching absolutely matters. He got the absolute most out of a horrendous roster a year ago. People People are forgetting that, and that's the key to what I think the Giants' success is going to be, honestly. It's not about the players on the field as much as people are trying to make it seem. I think they're going to be coached up to their maximum ability, and I think you're going to have a lot of surprises this year. That's all I got to say. I'm not even sitting here saying right now we're better than the Eagles. I'm not going to sit here and spill lies like that. I'm not going to – I believe that's what we're gonna be. I predict us to finish 11-6 this year, and I do strongly believe that. That's why I decided to make it a point to wear my boy Lou from G Nation's T-shirt today, 11-6. I believe that because I believe this team has that ability this year, and it ain't because we added Waller and it ain't because we added Isaiah Simmons. It's because we do have a better roster than we had a year ago, and we still have Coach Brian Dable, who I think can get the absolute most out of this football team. That's what I believe.
Well, we'll see. We'll see if that prediction comes true. We'll see. I mean, we shall see.
I mean, we will. That's why you gotta get on the field and play, man. Mix it up. I wish we got y'all a little sooner than Christmas, so we can really see what we was up against. So we can really see what we made of. But at the end of the day, we don't make the schedule. The schedule is what the schedule is. So hopefully by Christmas we'll still both be two healthy teams, and we can go out there and man up and see who wants it. You know what I mean? Because I believe that the New York Giants is going to make a little bit of noise this year, a little bit. I ain't saying we going to the Super Bowl. I'm not saying none of that. I'm not going all crazy, but I think we're going to be a much better team than people are trying to give us credit for. I think that schedule thing is just way too overhyped and way too overplayed because you never know year to year who's going to be the surprise teams that's going to step up and be a little better than anybody expected. I just don't. I'm not a believer in that. I'm not a believer in that schedule, schedule thing.
I understand.
Because a year ago, going into the season, nobody even gave us a shot against the Tennessee Titans week 1. Nobody gave us a shot in that game because the Tennessee Titans were supposed to be what? Oh, so good. They were the team that were first in the AFC the year prior. They were going to be so good. They were going to be this. They were going to be that. And they ended up not being that great of a football team. Is that the New York Giants' fault? No. But the New York Giants went down to Tennessee, Nashville, week 1, and took care of business in a game that nobody prior to that really gave them much of a shot. So I'm just saying, you just never know what to really expect. And it starts this year, right? The litmus test starts week 1, Sunday Night Football, Dallas Cowboys for the New York Giants. Let's get it. That's a great test right out the gate to see what we made of. And we're going to find out. And we're going to find out in 2 Sundays from now.
Well, again, I can't really come back to that. However, the schedule thing I do believe is real. That it is a fact, whether or not people want to believe it. Yes, any given Sunday, I believe that doesn't mean we're not going to face bigger talent this year. That's an absolute fact. So if we get out the gates early, yeah, we can contend. I'm a honest guy. You got to prove it to me before anything else, right? People tend to forget about the shellacking we got in the playoffs. So, but hey,
I didn't forget that. That's why I said I still right now not going to sit here and with a straight face and tell anybody out here listening that we're a better football team than the Philadelphia Eagles. But I think we are significantly closer to the Dallas Cowboys, and I think we have a legitimate shot to leapfrog the Dallas Cowboys this season in the NFC East. I believe we do. I'm not sure. I don't think right now, as things stand right now, I don't realistically think we have a shot to go past the Eagles yet. I don't think we're quite there. I don't think we're there yet. I can honestly say that with myself and be true to myself. But I think we're a team that's a lot closer to the Cowboys and have a legitimate shot to leapfrog the Dallas Cowboys, a more legitimate shot than people are trying to give us credit for. And I love the fact that we get a chance to prove that week 1 right from the gate against the Dallas Cowboys on prime time.
Yeah, we shall see. We shall see.
No, I don't think that because I think I'd be upset if the Eagles were anything less than an 11-win team, than a 13-win team with the roster and talent you have. I believe the Eagles should win 13 games. That's my personal opinion. That's just what I believe. But so I don't think that makes me saying 11-6 puts us on y'all level. I just think it still puts us behind y'all as far as what I'm saying based off of what I believe you guys should be. But that's just my opinion. What's going on, Big Simple, man? Washington Commanders in the building, man. Thanks for stopping by, Big Simple, man. Make sure y'all come join our stream tomorrow, man. It's going to be myself, Cool Cat, Big Simple, and Cole Cowboy on the little NFC East roundtable, man. So make sure y'all come join that tomorrow, man. It's gonna be absolute fire.
Wow, nice. People stealing my host. My God, I don't get any. I don't get any invites. People don't like me, man. That's what it is. They just don't like me.
But
Well, hey, listen,
but
man. Look, everybody can be optimistic. Everybody's 0-0, right? Like Chris said, you never know what's going to happen, who's going to be injured. If you hope that everybody's healthy on both sides, so there's no excuses. So if a team gets beat by a team gets beat, but this is why we play the games. Obviously any given Sunday, but things happen. Schedule does matter to a certain extent, whether we want to believe it or not. Is it the end all be all? Does it mean you're going to lose that game that week? No. Does it mean your chances might be a little different, but will be favored? No. Like I said, any given Sunday, it happens. We'll see what happens. That's why we play.
I mean, you're right. I mean, like I said, when I say schedule doesn't matter, I don't mean it doesn't matter. I'm just saying I don't really believe in that this schedule was so tough because this team was that last year. They was that last year. Doesn't mean they're going to be that this year. So we don't know. They could just fall flat on that. Whoever we could think, people thought Green Bay might have been a little better than they were a year ago. It just things you just don't really know how things truly stack up. You're basing it off of what a team did a year ago and saying that's automatically means your schedule's so much tougher. You just don't really know because, like you said, the injuries, all that stuff factors in. So you just don't know how it's going to be when you play certain teams. I mean, we won a couple of games we did win a year ago. People didn't think we were going to go to London and beat Green Bay. People didn't think we were going to beat Baltimore Ravens. These are just the stuff that happens week to week. So, and I believe that we putting out a much better football team. But we're not here just to talk exclusively about the New York Giants, man. So, how you feel about like for instance the Washington Commanders? Like they felt comfortable enough what they saw from Sam Howell in the first two preseason games that they sat him out the week 3 of the preseason. He didn't touch the field. They felt comfortable enough. How do you feel about that?
To me, I don't think that's a great move. To me, I think you need to see as much defense as possible, as much reps as possible. Why? Because you have a learning curve. And I think, look, you talk about Dan Jones and Dak Prescott and Jalen Hurst, I guess, if you would like to say, not needing the reps. I get it. Hurst been to the Super Bowl. Dak Prescott's, has a resume speaks for itself. And then Dan Jones coming into his fifth season, I get it, right? Sam Howell, to me, has less experience than those guys. So get more reps, right? You started one game. If Sam Howell started 16 games last year, I'm like, don't start him in the preseason. I understand the mindset. People are worried. Again, a lot of injuries did happen in these last couple of preseason games because obviously the intensity gets ramped up. But, if I was Ron Rivera, I would have put him in there and Eric Bieniemy just to kind of keep more. But if you deem that last performance that he was good enough and you don't need any more, well, we'll see. Yeah, I like Sam Howell, big simple. I think he's a very underrated player. He was like I keep telling everybody, he was the number one rated player going into college in 2021. And then obviously the 2021 season happens and he lost some of his receivers, his offensive coordinator changes, and they asked him to run more. Remember, he had 800 yards rushing that last year, still threw for 3,000 yards and like 20-plus touchdowns, but he also ran for 800-plus yards. If you take some of those rushing numbers away and put them into passing stats, he'd have the same numbers as he had the year prior when they were considering a top 10 pick coming out of the draft. So I think Sam Howell could be a steal. I think with Eric Bieniemy, the new regime, I guess you could say, the ownership, I think they're putting Sam Howell in a good spot to not fail. And I wouldn't be surprised if Sam Howell ends up, having a good season. With that being said, I think Mac has a few things about Sam Howell, right?
You said Sam Howell.
Yeah.
I mean, I just liked what I saw from him in the first couple of games of the preseason. He looks comfortable back there. He's got some decent weapons, obviously, with Terry McLaurin, and Jahan Dotson and, Curtis Samuel and those guys around him. And he looks like a guy that's been doing it for years. He doesn't look like a guy that's just getting ready to come out here and get his first couple of significant starts, so to start this season off. So, I mean, I'm curious, and I'm kind of curious to see with Sam. I think he could be one of the biggest surprises of the whole division, honestly. Because right now, technically, if you rank the quarterbacks in the division, you would kind of technically rank him fourth. But is he? We don't know. He might end up showing us a little something, man. Who knows, man? We'll find out, man. But AK, man, I don't know, man. You shoot. I don't know. You got a lot of pent up aggression right now towards us, bro. I'm curious. I'm wondering why, man. Just so you know, hold me, man. I did screenshot that tweet the other day, man. I'll be coming for that receipt, man. Once we win, like once we got like 5 wins and it's only like week 8, bro. I'll be coming for them receipts, bro. You know, I'm just saying. I got that tweet screenshot of AK. Remember, I told you that I'm coming for those receipts, bro.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, a lot of people are waiting on the receipts for me too. So, you know, we'll see, man. Like we'll get into the individual players in a minute. Obviously, we have some fun stuff coming up for you guys in this show, but we're just trying to wrap up the preseason next couple minutes. But whenever you're ready, we can move on to the next topic.
I mean, I was just gonna ask you. I did want to ask you one more thing. Like you said, we were talking about the players being rusty. You know, not playing all through the preseason. Like teams like the Eagles, Cowboys. You know, they're pretty established rosters. They know their talent on their squad. Not really didn't need to really see anything from those guys. Obviously, you know they know how good Jalen Hurts and company is. You know how good the Dallas Cowboys are and but do you still believe the team with talent like that is able to overcome that rust and just be able to kick it right into gear? Not like I said, Eagles haven't played a meaningful game since the Super Bowl. Their starters, their top guys haven't, and the Cowboys haven't played a meaningful game since the playoffs as well. As far as their top guys, you think it's easier for squads like that to shake the rust off than the younger teams like the Giants or the Commanders?
Well, I think they're further along than some other teams, and it's really about circumstance. I feel the Eagles, whether we like it or not, are built for a Super Bowl run. And don't worry, Zion. There's plenty of people who are going to be laughing at me if he balls out. But we'll get into what balling out actually is, because if he only gets 3,700 yards and like 20 touchdowns, that really ain't balling out. But we'll get to that in a minute. Anywho, the Eagles, I just think, are in a different spot. I don't think they're using the preseason the same way with, let's say, the Giants or the Commanders would be, right? They're not looking at guys specifically. They know who their core guys are. They are using it to maybe look at Nakobe Dean, and see what he can do. Look at Zach Cunningham, get him ready in the game. It's not necessarily, hey, let's prepare our starters for winning, because we already know what we have. We've been there before. We've done it. We have the mindset. We're on the march. Let's see who's going to develop. And if you notice, the Eagles started a lot of their rookies this year, right? They didn't hold back Jalen Carter. They didn't hold back too much, Nolan Smith and all these guys. You know what I mean? That's what they're doing. That's what they allowed to do. So because they didn't want to start Hassan Reddick, who happens to be injured, but let's just say they didn't want to start that guy. Well, good. He's come back from an injury. They don't need it as much as a team like the Commanders, who have a new offensive coordinator, who have new pieces going on, have a quarterback that needs to get developed with these receivers a little bit more. Even though he was with the team last year, right? He's not a starter, so he's not getting in the huddle, getting that cadence down. So that's what I mean. I mean, I think we're nitpicking about preseason and starting, but everyone's going to tell you, oh, you're going to injure yourself in one play. Well, guess what? You can injure yourself on the first play of the game as well. And people forget, our quarterback also, don't wish injury upon anybody, but it's not like our quarterback's been healthy his whole career as well. So before we wish, injury on anybody, then that. Well, if he does that, I will acknowledge Daniel Jones. If he puts up those numbers. If he puts anything, that's what I'll acknowledge Daniel Jones. If he doesn't do that,
that would be amazing.
He should do that. If he does that, the Giants are probably in the NFC Championship game. I doubt he's going to throw that many touchdowns. But if Dan Jones gets to that level, hell, listen, I'll be right on the boat with you. Which, by the way, I was already on the boat with Daniel Jones for a while. Then I got soured on him. Now he's got to prove to me again why I liked him the first time. If he can prove me wrong, fine, good, okay. No big deal. Again, I think people get too angry about somebody liking a player, not liking a player, not having the same viewpoint on a player. We've had countless arguments about this. If he throw, but I will say this, though. However, I will say this. If he puts up these numbers and they don't win the Super Bowl, right, or they don't get to the playoffs, so they get ousted in the first round, I'm then going to put him in the realm of the Kirk Cousins of the world. And say, well, Kirk Cousins hasn't won anything, and he put up the same numbers. Daniel Jones hasn't won it, so it's going to become one of those things. So we'll see. But like I said, to answer your question with the preseason, those two teams are in different avenues. They're in different avenues. That's all.
We will certainly see you, man. I mean, it's going to be an interesting season in the NFC, to say the least. This division, I wouldn't necessarily say is wide open, open up for grabs. I mean, there's clearly a top team in this division. Unfortunately, that happens to be the Philadelphia Eagles, but you never know, man. Somebody might be coming for them, man. I'm just saying, might be coming for y'all, bro. But let's get into something, man. It's getting a little testy in the chat right now. Let's get into some over unders, man. Let's get into some over unders, man. Let's go ahead. Let's have a little bit of fun for a minute, man. Let's start with what team we want to start with, man. We want to start with the Washington Commanders, man. I got my boy Big Simple in the building, man. Let's start with some over unders, man. Right now, over unders, man. I'm just based these off of some of like stuff they teams did last year, players did a year ago, stuff like that. Try to keep it a little fair. So Washington Commanders, don't nobody get offended here. Over under with the Washington Commanders, man. How about 6 wins, man? Over under. How you feel about that, Adam?
I'm going to go over 6 wins. I think they'll have about 6 or 7 or 8. I think that's where they'll fall. I think their defense is too good, and their offense just needs to be competent. And in the weak ass NFC, the conference that we're in, you can win as many games as you please. I mean, they won 7 games last year, and their team was far worse than now. I think they've upgraded in quarterback in terms of being Sam Howell being better than Tyler Heineke, and their defense is right now healthy, and Chase Young's coming back. So in the NFC, it's not hard to see them winning over 6 games. So I'll take the over on that one.
I'll take the slight over as well. I think this team is about at least a solid 7 or 8 win team as well. I think they're just going to be one of those surprise teams that's going to pull out a few surprise wins. I think they're a team headed in the right direction, but I still think they're not quite there where they need to be quite yet. But they're definitely headed in the right direction. Look like they finally got a good foundation. They're building a good foundation. And depending what they get out of Sam Howell, like I said, you never know. And we don't. That's what the big mystery is. We don't know what to fully expect out of Sam Howell. So we will find out with this team. But I think they're a good, solid 7 or 8 win team. So I'd say over the 6 wins myself. All right, speaking of Sam Howell, over 3,000 yards passing.
Over 3,000 yards. I can crap 3,000 yards passing. I mean, my God, our quarterback who threw 6.6 yards a pass last year threw for 3,200 yards. Come on. Sam Howell will be at the worst will be over 3,000 yards passing.
I agree. I definitely agree. Just with the talent he has around him, I think there's going to be situations where he's going to be throwing the ball a whole lot. You know, I think that might be setting the bar a little low for him. But at the end of the day, I just didn't really know where to set the bar at for Sam Howell because we haven't really seen much of Sam Howell, obviously, in the NFL. So I believe he'll hit that mark as well.
I mean,
how about over?
You have to be a complete and utter idiot to not get 3,000 yards in this game.
I mean, he could get banged up. He could get injured or something. Knocked out. Miss some time.
We're talking about know. I mean, he's getting the 3,000. Big Simple. I'm with you, man. Power to Sam Howell.
All right. How about over for Sam Howell? Sticking with Sam Howell. Over under 18 touchdown passes.
Can I say push?
You absolutely can.
I'll say a push. I think he'll get at least 18 touchdowns. I mean, our quarterback got 15. We're talking about 1 touchdown a game passing. Come on. If you can't do 1 touchdown a game passing, or at least average that throughout the season, you know what I mean? Like, you don't have to throw a touchdown a game, but let's say at the end of the year he has 18 touchdowns. That's at least that averages 1 a game. 1 a game. Come on. I'm going with the push. I'm going to give him 18 at least.
I'm actually going with the over here a little bit. I think just with the not saying he's going to blow the doors off or anything, but I think he can get this guy. He'll get up into the low 20s at least, and I think because he just has the talented receivers around him. You know, you guys, like I said, the McLaurins, Terry McLaurin, Jahan Dotson, guys like that. I think, and you got Antonio Gibson out the backfield. I think he'll find a way to get to like about 21, 22 touchdown passes.
Since they're playing Arizona, he might have that in the first game. I mean, Arizona looks like they got nobody. So
no, they don't seem to be trying very hard this season, man. So I don't know what they expect out of the Arizona Cardinals. That team is a complete shit show.
18 touchdowns in game 1.
But let's move on, man. They're running back. Brought Mr. Brian Robinson, who missed some time last year to start the season because of being a gunshot wound. But Mr. Brian Robinson, man, over under 950 yards on the ground, man.
You know what? I'm going to go over with him because I think last year with the injury, dealing with that, coming back, they kind of eased him in. Now he's the real bell cow, and I like his running style. Their offensive line is adequate enough to open some holes. I think he's really going to be the key to start for Sam Howell's success, similar to what they did with Dak Prescott with the Dallas Cowboys. Is you ride your running game, big time. You got a big time player. We both agree Robinson's a pretty good back, right? So I think
Yeah.
I don't want to speak for you. At least I think he's a decent back in the league, an up and coming guy. I think he's going to get over 950.
Uh, I'm kind of more like in around the push here because I just don't know how committed this Washington team will be to the run game with him. I mean, Antonio Gibson's still going to get some touches, obviously, out there as well. So I'm just not sure how committed they'll be to the run game. So I'm going to kind of go with the push. He'll be flirting around that 1,000-yard mark, but he still might not quite get there. But we'll see, man.
Wow, if he gets that, if Sam Howell ends up with those yardage, I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. We'll keep going. Keep going. Keep going. This is not. I'm not going to have that show take
All right,
over. I'm a new
we'll stay with
Woosah.
Mr. Brian Robinson here, man, and see how many times you think he'll put it in the end zone, man. I got over under 6 touchdowns for Brian Robinson.
Oh, I think he'll get over that.
I absolutely agree. I think he'll get over 6 as well. I think he'll
Are
because
we
he'll
talking
be. I
about
think
overall TDs or are we talking rushing TDs?
his just rushing on the ground, just on the ground.
Okay, I'll take 8. Eight seems like a. I mean, Saquon Barkley got 10 last year, and this guy, is going to be a bell cow, and I think he's going to get the ball in the red zone. So 8 touchdowns. You said 6, I say 8.
Yeah, I think he'll get over the 6. I believe because I think he'll be definitely the guy in goal line situations that they're not going to even be looking to bring in. I mean, Antonio Gibson in that situation. They'll be Brian Robinson turn around and let him power the ball in. So I believe you could. I wouldn't be surprised if Robinson ended up with about double-digit touchdowns, something like that, something similar to like Jamal Williams a year ago, honestly.
Double digits, jeez.
I wouldn't be surprised. I just think he'll be the guy on the goal line that they'll be relying on in those situations to hand that ball off to and let him, like I said, because he runs more physical than he actually looks, you know what I mean?
Yes,
that's one thing about, he's definitely a downhill runner. And I think he'll be that guy that they'll use to push in the end zone in goal line situations.
We sleep on the Commanders, but when you look at their roster on paper, they got some solid players over there, man.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That's what I'm saying.
They get competent play out of Sam Howell. Absolutely competent play. They'll be fighting for the playoffs.
Yeah, they're definitely putting together something nice down over there in Washington, man. I think they are. I'm not. They're still, like I said, I don't think they're quite there yet, but they're putting together something nice, and I think that this team got something going to be something to look forward to over the next couple of years. It's going, like I said, it's going to make the NFCs that much more fun over the course of the next couple of years. You got 2 up and coming young squads, the Giants and Washington. You got 2 very established teams already with the Eagles and Dallas, and I think everything's going to kind of start coming to a head, man. Next couple of years, it's going to be a very competitive and fun division to tune into, man. But let's move on to the receivers now, man. Let's go. I went with Terry McLaurin here, man. Over under 1,200 yards receiving. I believe he had like 1,100 and something a year ago.
Terry McLaurin? Yeah. I'll push at that.
Said you'll push on that?
Yeah.
Terry McLaurin, I think if he stays healthy all year, I think he might be over because I believe Sam Howell knows who his guy is. That's one thing I noticed in the preseason with him a little bit. I think he knows who his guy is.
Terry.
I think he knows Scary Terry is the man that he needs to be looking for. And I think he's going to get that. I think he's going to get over 1,200. I think he's going to have a big year this year. I think he's finally hopefully have some stability with a quarterback and a guy that's probably a little more competent than the guys he's played with throughout his career thus far. I think he could be in for a really big year, Terry McLaurin, and I think he'll get over that 1,200 yards receiving. Over under 5 touchdowns for Terry McLaurin. Didn't really do much in that category a year ago, but also that could have been.
He did have Tyler Heineke throwing him the football, and their offenses are grinded out. I'm going to roll the dice here, and I'm going to go over. I don't know why. I think here's my thing. Sam Howell is a big factor. I really do like him and liked him as a passer, and I know people are going to say this is weird. You're a Giant fan. I hope success for his career, because I followed him for a little bit. I really was interested in where he's going. The Commanders seem like they'd be turning it around. And Terry McLaurin's the most underrated receiver in the league. I think with a competent quarterback, I could see him going over 6. He's going to be the featured guy. I'm going to go. I'm going to go over.
Okay, that's fair enough. That's fair enough. I think I think he goes over. I think he gets 6 or 7 or so. I think he'll get at least 6 or 7 myself. I think, like I said, he's going to definitely be the go-to guy. Sam Howell is going to be looking for him often, and it's not going to necessarily take just big plays like it did last year for him to get the 3 touchdowns he got a year ago. But let's go to move to Jahan Dotson. Jahan Dotson last year. Now it's different because he was their touchdown guy last year as far as the receivers go, a little bit kind of. But we'll start with his yards. Over under for Jahan Dotson, 700 yards receiving.
Over that. It'll be over that. Way over that.
Do you think way over?
You said 700 yards?
700 yards. He wasn't way over that last year.
700 yards? He was a rookie last year with a crappy quarterback.
Yeah.
He'll be over that.
All right. I mean, I'm not sure here. I think that's kind of. I mean, he'll be flirting around that number. I think he'll be flirting around that number. I'm not sure how much over he'll be. Probably be a little bit over. He'll probably be a little over. I guess I'd say he'd be a little over that number as well. I'm not sure I would say too much more though. I think he's going to be maybe close to that 800 yards or so. But he is still. You got to keep in mind he's still going to be. He's not necessarily still a number one target, but he'll still be a very big part of that offense. How about touchdowns? Jahan Dotson over under 6 touchdowns. I believe he had 7 a year ago.
Well, I'm going to stick with that and say over 6 touchdowns. I think what we're not seeing here is this is a better offense that they're running. All right, they've got all the weapons that Kansas City had. Curtis Samuel runs those jet sweeps. They've got Jahan Dotson, who's the big speedy receiver. They got Terry McLaurin, who's the fast possession receiver. They got everything, and not to mention Logan Thomas as well, right? Not to mention Robinson and Antonio Gibson out of the backfield. So I think their offense is going to be a little bit more explosive this year. So yes, I'm going to go over that and say yes, he's going to go over that touchdown mark. Wow, both receivers over around 1,000 will hover around.
I don't know, man. I'm going to go with the push there on this one. I think that's probably about where we find Jahan Dotson this year, about around that 6 touchdown mark, man. I just, because like I said, you're picking Terry McLaurin to have about 7 or 8 or so. He gets like 6, and then the rest of the team, other guys on the team, still got Curtis Samuel, Antonio Gibson, company, other guys. The tight end, name I'm forgetting right now, Logan Thomas. You got other guys, too, to get involved in the offense. So I think 6 will be about a good number for Jahan Dotson in year 2, man. Like I said, he had like 7 last year, I believe. But we'll see. Like I said, remember Darius Slayton had 8 his rookie season, so he's never even sniffed that number again. But that's a whole nother story. But defensive, how about we just move over to the defense for Washington now, man. Over under 45 sacks for this football team.
45.
I believe they had about 40 a year ago.
I'm going to say under. I'm going to say they stick to their 40. I mean, 40 is not – it's not poor, but it's not, bad either. It's right in the middle. It's a good season. You want a good season. But I'm going to say it was 40, even with a healthy Chase Young.
I'm going to go with the over here because that's the key. Healthy Chase Young back, strengthens up that front line again. That defensive – it stiffens up that defensive front again, man. I think this team can seriously be flirting around that 50 number this year, honestly. I think people are forgetting how talented Washington's front 7 is, and I think they're going to remind people of that this season, man, with a healthy Chase Young back in the lineup. About over under 10 interceptions for this Washington defense.
Washington defense? Didn't I say under for the sacks?
You said under for the sacks. Yeah, I said over under for 10 interceptions.
Ooh, that's tough. Do you know how many they had last year? Just out of curiosity.
It wasn't many. It was like around that same number.
I'm gonna push. I'm gonna go. They're gonna get at least 10, just because I think they'll fall at the same number. They got Emmanuel Forbes for that very reason, to get more picks, right? So With that being said, I think he does add a couple more picks to the team. Plus, Chase Young coming back and Montez Sweat both being out there. Some tip balls could happen at the line. I think at least I'm going to give him a push and give him 10.
All right. I'm not so sure, man. I'm gonna go under here, man. I think I'm gonna go with the under. Take the under here. I think they might fall a little bit short of that number, but like I said, as much as I believe in their front end of their defense, I'm much less of a believer in the back end of their defense. And Emmanuel Forbes is a good draft pick. They like you said brought him in for that particular reason, but at the same time, I don't think that's necessarily going to. I don't think it's going to do much for him in that category. I believe plus two teams they're playing against in his division. I mean, I know Dak had his kind of historic season last year with his interceptions. I don't expect that to necessarily repeat itself. And Daniel Jones has kind of cut back on that. Jalen Hurts is pretty good protecting the football as well. I think they just won't get the opportunities as much given the division they're in with the quarterbacks they're going against.
Yeah, but they're playing the rest of the league, so we can't just base it on that.
I know. I'm just saying, but that's still almost half of their schedule is against the teams in the division. I mean, close to half of their schedule is teams within the division alone. So, and they're playing against some other good quarterbacks as well. But like I said, I just think they might fall a little bit short of that number potentially. That was fun with the Washington Commanders, man. Hope we didn't offend nobody out there. Big Simple, man. Hope you respect the comments, bro. I mean, I still believe in y'all team. I think y'all got, like I said, a good young squad. Just think y'all not quite there yet. But we're going to see. That's why they get out there and play the game, man. The game ain't played on paper, and they go out there and play it on the field, man. And that's when we're going to find out what it's really real.
Well, I mean, listen. He has a chance to be better than one team or at least one team in the NFC East on 9-10, right? Unless he loses. So you have a chance to be there. So you lose to the Cardinals. So the thing is this: the Cardinals, the Patriots play the Eagles, play the Patriots, the Cardinals play the Redskins, Commanders, whoever, and then the Cowboys and Giants. So obviously there's going to be a loser in the Cowboys and Giants. So if they win their game, and let's say the Eagles beat the Patriots, you could be one of those teams starting out 1-0 in the division. That's a great start for any team. So, it's out there for the Washington Commanders. Let's see what they do.
Absolutely, we're gonna find out. But we're gonna move on since we're gonna work our way up the division from pretty much going in order. From reverse order from the standings a year ago, so you know who's up next. That would be them boys in blue, the New York Football Giants.
Here we go.
Over under 8 wins. Over under 8 wins. You already know where I'm at with that, but over under 8 wins, Adam.
Well, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna say about 9. So over the 8. Same. They'll fall probably in the same categories.
Oh my God, love it! I love it in the chat right now. You guys, loving it right now, man. Just as long as I guess y'all keep it respectful, just stay. You know what I mean? It's all good, man. I love how y'all chopping it up in the chat right now. I already knew how you felt, AK. I saw loud and clear how you felt, brother. So it's all. I mean, hey, and you're entitled to feel the way you feel, man. Like I said, your team's sitting at the top right now until somebody else proves otherwise. But
bandwagon, but I think they can at least duplicate. At the very least, duplicate that. I think 8 or 9 wins, that's where I fall. I'm just going to go slightly over 8 wins here. So 9, I'm not going anything. If you were to tell me over under 9, I would have just pushed, because I think, no offense to anybody, I think we're disrespecting the 2 teams that have finished ahead of us. And that's, just me.
I'm not, like I said, I tell you how I felt. I still don't think we're like, in the Eagles beat
us 3 times in
the Eagles lane. I get it. I get that. But like I said, and that's why I said I'm not even putting this necessarily above the Cowboys officially, but I'm just saying I think we're significantly close to the Cowboys, and I think we have a strong chance to leapfrog the Cowboys this year because I think we are significantly closer to the Cowboys than we are to the Eagles, and so I do believe that wholeheartedly. I think that we're closer to the Cowboys right now, and we have an opportunity to leapfrog the Dallas Cowboys, and I would not be shocked by that. I wouldn't be like, oh my God, I'm so amazed. Like now, if we leapfrog the Eagles this year, then I would be like, wow, I would be stunned. I would be shocked. I would be like, wow, what the hell is going on? That would amaze me. It would not amaze me if we leapfrog the Dallas Cowboys this year.
Well, it would to me because we've lost to them 4 times. We've beaten the Eagles more times than we've beaten the Cowboys in the last few years. So I mean, I'm not underestimating Dan Quinn and their defense. But we'll see. But 9 wins.
I'm not underestimating them. I'm just saying, I just to feel like if I'm looking at the teams in this division, I just feel like I still
still think we're
believe
third
like
place. Still think we're third
yeah,
place.
I agree, and I agree with that. I'm not right now. I can't rank these teams and necessarily say we're better than the Cowboys. I just believe we're a lot closer, and I would not be surprised if we leapfrog that team. Like I said, it wouldn't surprise me because I believe we are that much closer to them than we are to the Philadelphia Eagles. Like I said, the Eagles would be a surprise if we were somehow to jump over top of them in this division right now this year, given the current state of our rosters and what we just know of the football teams. It would just be a more surprising thing if we were to all of a sudden become better than the Eagles this year. That would be surprising to me.
If you wanted to say something along these lines, the division winner will not be the same. Well, that's happened in the last 20 years. The Eagles have a few things that they're currently trying to do. One, go back to the Super Bowl, and then two, be the repeat winner the first time in about 20 years. But we're doing over-unders of the Giants. We'll get to the Eagles in a minute.
I mean, the reality is, other than that, if it wasn't for that stupid ass tie last year, we would have been a 10-win team in third place last year. Like no mess, no, we would have been a 10-win team and still been in third place. It is what it is. Our division was that damn good last year, so that's just what it came down to. We unfortunately had that stupid tie, so we only ended up having 9 wins. But that's the reality, man. So let's move on to Daniel Jones now, man. Guy you love so much, Adam.
I love that. I love that guy.
Daniel, Mr. Jones, man. Daniel Jones, man. Let's go some over-unders. Daniel Jones, 3,500 yards passing. Over-under 3,500 yards passing.
Well, since that's meager, and I think he's going to be. I think I'll go a little over that. You got to give me better. You got to be like, give me 4,000 yards. I'm going to tell you he's under.
I had to base it off. I base it off of what he did a year ago, kind of. You know what I mean? Kind of
right.
Gave a fair standard number for over. So 3,500 is, I believe, might have been a little more than what he did last year.
Well, no, yeah, 3,500. He did 3,200 yards. I think we're talking about that's roughly about what he's going to do. You know what? I think he's going to. You know what? I'll push here. I'll push 35. That's what I'll say. At first, it was going to go over. You know what? I'll stay over. But I don't think he's going anywhere near 4,000. But I think like 3,600 yards, I could see him getting if he lucks into some things. Remember, people forget he's got some injury history too. So if he stays healthy, we'll see. If he doesn't stay healthy, we'll also see.
I'm going to go take the over here, man. I think, like I said, even though the weapons still aren't like what the Eagles are working with, but they're still, like I said, way more respectable than what they were a year ago. I think. Even though we only saw one drive in the preseason, it just looked so fluent and he looked so comfortable with these guys out there. I think he'll have an easier time spreading the ball around, to some of these guys. I think Darren Waller opens up so much more than people are expecting and giving him credit for. Opens up so much more in this offense. And then when you got a guy like Jalen Hyatt that can just take the top off of a defense, you're looking at potentially a couple of big plays throughout the course of the season, man. So I think Daniel Jones will go over that 3,500 yard mark, and I do expect him to really be knocking on that 4,000 yard door. Honestly, I do expect him to be knocking on the door of 4,000 yards.
Well, I will say the one thing that concerns me, and everyone's happy about one drive, but the thing that concerns me was that there were rollouts, a lot of rollouts, play action boots, and that means the offensive line is not where it needs to be. And we tend to forget that they played, a very bad team in the Panthers. So this game against the Dallas Cowboys will really be the litmus test to me on where this team will fall. So
that's good stuff. Good stuff. How about Daniel Jones? 15 touchdowns a year ago. 15 passing touchdowns a year ago. So we'll go over under for Daniel Jones. 22 touchdown passes. Over under 22.
I'm going to go under 22 touchdowns. I think he hits I don't think he hits 22. I think he just gets just under that.
I'm going over again, bro. I'm going over again. Going over to 22. I'm thinking he's going to be around that 25 mark at least. I mean, 24 is rookie season. I think this offense will be way more open than that offense was his rookie season. I think we're getting a better version of him, a much better version, a much more comfortable version of him, and I think he'll hit that 25 touchdown mark this year.
Oh, even this guy says under 22 touchdowns. I just think, oh wow, Chris Bucco goes 23 on the dot. The reason I say 22 is because you got to factor in if he's going to be running the football a little bit more, that's going to take some of those opportunities away. Then the thing is, he's not. They're trying to make him a running quarterback. Okay, they're trying to make him a little bit of the Josh Allen you see in Buffalo, where if you're in the red zone 5 yards, you're going to drop back and do a quarterback sneak. Last year he had 7 touchdowns rushing. So if you were to take half of those touchdowns and give them, let's say you did 5 touchdowns and 2 rushing, he would have had about 20 touchdowns and 2 rushing touchdowns. So I think under the 22 mark, that's not too bad considering where he is in his career. And again, injuries do play a big factor. I'm not trying to say that try to jinx anything, but we talk about like Hurst getting injured and Dak getting injured. The only guy who hasn't been injured in the NFC's division as a quarterback has been Sam Howell so far in the NFL. So that's what you got to worry about. And that's why I think 22, I would say about under, because I just think if they're going to give him the same amount of rushing touchdowns as last year, we'll see.
Fair enough. Let's, let's move to the backfield a little bit here. Saquon Barkley, coming off a big year, season to go, man. Over under for Saquon Barkley, over under 1,400 yards rushing.
Oh, this man's on a mission. And I think this is why Dan Jones is not going to hit 4,000 yards, because this man is going to take over the game. This man is going to show you why he's the best on the team. This man is going to show you why he's going to get paid. And that is Saquon Barkley is going to go over. He's going to have a beast of a year. He's going to go prove something right now. He's angry. And we can tell in that podcast that he has a lot of animosity in terms of how things are going down. And he's going to make the Giants pay him or somebody else pay him. So I think I'm going to go over that.
I agree with you. I think he's playing with a chip on his shoulder, something to prove, not even just for himself, just for the position in general, his position group in general. As we see the contract Josh Jacobs just got over the last weekend, it looks like there's a new standard for running backs. Like I believe you said it yourself when I was talking to you on Premium Takes. You were like they're guns for hire now. You know what I mean? Like this is like some new standard for running backs after their rookie deals. We're going to just keep signing them year to year as long as they still can produce. So I think that he's out to prove that running backs deserve long-term deals. I think he's going to go out there and he's going to show and prove, man. I think Saquon Barkley is going to have a huge year if he can stay healthy. And I think he's going to go over the 1,400 yards.
I sort of had the same thought process, no Mets, no Jets, because of how it's going down. And they're trying to feature Daniel Jones more because obviously he's running the football, which I think to me is always dangerous. But, to me, Barkley is a difference maker, and I want him to touch the ball as much as possible. I know we have Jalen Hyatt and Darren Waller, but you look at the good teams, when they win in the playoffs, they have good running games. Not necessarily good running backs, but good running games. But listen, guys like Josh Jacobs, guys like Christian McCaffrey, I think the entire running back class is out for blood. And they're going to – I think if you're a fantasy owner, start drafting like a Henry, a Jonathan Taylor if he plays. These guys, I think they're all going to try to come together and show the league like, yo, don't sleep on us. We're going to be big. And I think Barkley needs that. If Barkley let's just touch on this a minute before we go to anything else, because I think it's an interesting dynamic to talk about is if they do scheme him out, then that sucks for him. And if I were him, I would have held out anyways, because I got that feeling in the games, because in the games they did not feature him, they didn't win many games, okay? The only game they won where they didn't feature him was that Minnesota playoff game, was it, right? They didn't feature him in the Eagle game. He was the best player on the team. They didn't feature him, they lost. A lot of those games, he didn't get big touches, they struggled in. So for me, in order to believe that they're going to win a lot of these games, especially against these big teams that have big defenses, to not put that offensive line, who, let's be honest, still a little compromised. I don't want to put it behind, because the Cowboys are coming, man. I don't want to drop back 70 times and have this Cowboy pass rush overtake our line, wear our guys out. Getting on the run game, that allows your offense to have that advantage. So I would like to see a lot of heavy dose of Barkley. I think if you see less of Barkley, the Giants may be in trouble.
See, here's my logic, and I kind of agree a little bit with the touches thing, but here's the thing: I think Saquon Barkley is going to make the most out of his touches because I think, as like his rookie season, for instance, we'll go back to the rookie season when you had a competent wide receiver on the outside, Odell Beckham, that defenses had to respect. The New York Giants once again have receivers that they might not be the greatest, but they're guys that team defenses still have to respect. It's going to spread defenses out a little bit more. Saquon Barkley, let's not forget, is an absolute home run hitter, and he doesn't need a whole lot. He doesn't need a whole lot to make something happen, man. And I think there's going to be a lot of big plays out of Saquon Barkley this year. So it might not be necessarily his main touches, but you're going to see a lot of big home run plays from Saquon Barkley this season. I think that's going to get him up to that yardage that I was just talking about, and just really knocking that number down, man. I think running backs this year. Watch out for running backs this year in general. I think they got a lot to prove, and I think they're going to come out there showing their value to all teams around the league. Honestly, I think it's a whole thing about running backs this year. Keep an eye on running backs in general this season.
Right. I agree with you there. I think there's a lot of guys that are going to have big years. You're going to see, as they say, as DJ Khaled likes to say, we're taking over. Running backs are going to be taking over.
Yeah, absolutely, man. All right, stay on Saquon Barkley, man. Over under 10 touchdown runs, 10 touchdowns.
I'll give him 10 touchdowns. I mean, he had that last year. He averages about close to 10 touchdowns a year. I think his rookie year he had something similar. I don't have his stats in front of me. Let me just get those up to make sure. But I'm going to push and say at least 10 touchdowns.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm with the push there too. I'm not going over or under here. I'm just thinking about that's about the number. I think it's a good solid number. I don't. Yeah, I mean, because I think some of his touchdowns are going to be breakaways. Obviously, he's not necessarily going to be the goal line guy for say it's getting those tough 1 yard runs. I don't think necessarily. I don't know. That's hard to say. You never know.
The thing is this. I think he's going to get 10 touchdowns just if he plays. But if they do what No Metro Jets thinks about, right, and you give it to, I think they like this kid Eric Gray, so I think they're going to try to get him some touches inside the red zone as a bigger downhill runner. So we could easily see the Giants do what they did with Barry Sanders: is he gets you down to like the 5 or 10 yard line, they pull him out of the game, and they give the ball to Eric Gray and have a big type of big back situation there. See, the thing about Saquon Barkley that the people have the problem with is either you're going to use him as a feature back or you're not. If you're not going to use him as a feature back, you got to figure out what to do with him. Because to me, I like a bell cow. I'm old school. I believe in having a good running back because what people don't realize Daniel Jones thrives in the play action game. And if you take that element out of his game, you're taking away something that he actually does well. So if you start to take that out and teams don't believe you're going to run with Saquon Barkley, you're putting your team at a disadvantage because now they're like, oh, well, you're not giving the ball to Barkley and you're not the greatest passer in the world. We're just going to drop back into our lanes and make it more difficult on these receivers. So I do believe that Barkley needs to get there, and I do believe he's going to have at least 10 touchdowns because of that.
Good stuff. One more over under in the rushing category, man. Daniel Jones, over under 600 yards rushing. Guy had over 700 yards rushing the season ago.
Daniel Jones, 700 yards rushing?
Over under 600 yards rushing. He had 700 a year ago.
Well, I'm going to say under here because I think they want to feature him more as a passer. I really do. I think if you feature him as a runner, even though he can do it. See, I always look at a guy for his abilities when they're coming out. And Dan Jones' ability was he could run, and that was good. But you didn't want to make him the feature runner. And I think you don't want to do a little bit of that. And if I'm going to give him more passing yards, I've got to take away the rushing yards. You know what I'm saying? So I'm going to go under 600 yards.
I totally agree. I believe the under too. I think that 700 he got a year ago is going to come significantly down as well. I don't see him being I don't see him being like a featured runner as much as he was a year ago. I think you're going to still see him using his legs, but I think you'll see him using his legs more out of necessity as opposed to the design runs we saw a year ago.
See, so, DJ did better on runs where he saw the defense playing man and he could could run by them, right? Designed runs for DJ, while they did work against some booty ass teams on some bootlegs and things like that, the reason they weren't featured in certain games was how defenses are playing them. And the Cowboys already know how to play them because they adjusted mid-quarter in mid-third quarter against both games. And I think what they're going to try to do this year is, okay, we're going to let our front four, front five guys kind of get to you, and we're going to let our back 7 or 8 kind of deal with the rest of you, right? And they're going to try to force Daniel Jones to pass more, because if you were to say what was better last year for him, his running or his passing, you would say he was a better runner last year than a passer. And that's, again, before everyone jumps down my throat, that's just facts. Go look at the tape. That's why they did that, right? That's why they put him in there. So if you're going to feature him more as more of a passer with these weapons, the running is going to come down. And again, injury. This guy is not the greatest at protecting his body. Go look at the Minnesota game when he's running for a quarterback sneak. The guy literally takes his neck and almost breaks his back and then almost pops the ball out. It's like, you got to cover up. I'd rather have Daniel Jones be safe in the pocket. There's more room for penalties if he's in the pocket.
I agree. Thanks, AK, for stopping by, man. Really appreciate it, man. You have a good night, man.
Peace out, man. Thanks for coming through.
But good stuff, man. I agree. I think you're right. You say hitting down on the head. That's one of my biggest concerns every time Daniel Jones is running the football, is that he does not protect himself very much. He kind of has this tendency, and I don't know if that's just the mentality of a football player, and he's forgetting that he's in the NFL now. You're not in college or high school anymore, kid. You can't just take on linebackers, bro. You're a quarterback. You are the franchise quarterback for right now. You got to protect yourself a little bit better than what he does. I mean, he only ran the ball once on that one drive in preseason. He did kind of get out of bounds. That was kind of, I looked okay. I was kind of happy with that. Please, because I feel like Daniel Jones a year ago.
It wasn't even really a run. The runs, not the scrambles.
I mean, I was just good. I mean, he just needs to protect himself a lot better when he's running the football in general, whether it's a scramble or a design run. Because you're right, that's something that he has a tendency to want to try to take on linebackers and any just defenders. Period. It doesn't matter if it's linebacker, if it's a safety, whatever. He shouldn't be doing that. Quarterbacks got to be smarter than that when running the football.
You can say it's dismissive, but that's just what it is, right? He hasn't proven that he's going to pass, and being that a lot of people have said Daniel Jones is a better runner, not just me. They've said it. So the fact that he did that and he's passing, well, you know what it is? We split hairs. There's a lot of splitting of hairs in this chat, right? How things are said, the way things are said. Oh, well, this is this, blah, 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 blah. Who cares, man? Like, you don't agree with me? That's what I saw. That's what a lot of other people saw. I'm not just saying shit to please anybody. All I'm saying is that's what I saw. This is what we get into when we talk about players and things. Well, he was, but how so? Of course, he has more passing attempts than running, but he's a better runner of the football. That's his skill set. He's a better runner than a passer. I put a lot more passes against Daniel Jones than I would in the NFL. In the running game, he's top 5 as a running quarterback in the league. So he is a better runner than he is a passer.
Well, all right. Let's move on. Receivers now. Let's go Darren Waller. New little toy for Daniel. New toy for Daniel Jones to play with. Darren Waller under 800 yards receiving.
Darren Waller over 800 yards receiving. Oh, that's tough.
Yeah, good number, right?
No, it's because he gets injured. You should say over under how many games he's going to play. That's more. I could say 12 there, but. I don't know. I'm going to push here.
Said you're going to push?
Yes.
Push on the 800? Yeah, I think he'll be. It is going to depend on his health. You're right. His health is going to be obviously everything here. I think if we get a healthy Darren Waller for an entire season, I think he'll be right a little over that number, in that 900-yard range possibly.
I mean, I'm
going to go with the over.
If Daniel Jones wants 4,000 yards, this guy has to be flirting with at least 950 plus. If he's going to be the passer that we think he's going to be. And see, this is what I'm saying, right? Darren Waller is going to be the feature guy. So I'm reluctantly saying pushing, because this guy hasn't been healthy in the last 2 years. So I'm not expecting him to finish a full season, but I think 800's respectable. If we think Daniel Jones is going to be at 4,300 yards and 36 touchdowns, this guy better have 1,100 yards receiving.
No, I mean, because you got to keep in perspective. Tight ends don't necessarily, unless your name is Travis Kelce, for say, don't
This guy
necessarily
had
go out there and
2,000 yards,
put
1,000
put
yards.
together.
So
Well, I mean, I know he has in the past, but at the same time, I'm just saying, pretty much the only tight end that really jumps over that 1,000 yard mark consistently is the guy in Kansas City, Travis Kelce. I mean,
yeah,
let's face it. At the
right.
end of the day, still a tight end, and I think that 800, 900 yard mark or yards for tight ends is still a pretty. That's a pretty good number for tight ends. You know what I mean? That's a pretty damn solid number for tight ends. And I think Darren Waller will be flirting with that around that 900 yard mark at least. Around there, something give or take. So I'm gonna go a little bit over there with 800 yards. All right, Darren Waller over under 7 touchdown catches.
7 touchdown catches.
7 touchdowns over under 7 touchdowns.
Yeah, I'll say I'll go over.
You'll go over.
Yeah, just because
Okay.
I don't know. I think about 10 touchdowns. I mean, the guy is good and he's solid if he stays healthy.
No, I mean I agree. I mean he's solid. I just think here's my thing, and I've been thinking about it, and I've seen other people who said the same thing, and I was also on the same way. I think what the problem with Darren Waller's touchdown numbers, I'm going to go under, and this is the reason why. Is I think when we get into the red zone, you're going to see Daniel Bellinger become a little more of the recipient of the actual touchdowns, kind of so to speak. You know what I mean? I think Darren Waller's will be more on big plays as opposed to those like shorter yardage kind of red zone situations. I think Darren Waller will be a big target in the red zone, or be a big big. They'll be thinking about him in the red zone a little bit more. Defenses will, and I think Daniel Bellinger will be that guy that'll kind of leak out
What
and be the
about Authentic?
recipient of those touchdowns. Authentic is a guy that also did say that on Twitter a couple weeks ago, and I had to agree 100%. Like I said, I think once you get into the red zone, it's going to be Bellinger is going to kind of be that recipient a little bit more of the touchdowns
You
as
said what?
opposed to Darren Waller scoring too many. So I think I'm going to go under 7 touchdowns for Darren Waller, man.
Well, that is, we'll see, man. I mean, he's going to be the featured guy. So
I mean, yeah, I agree. What's going on, though? Thanks you stopping in, Authentic. Really appreciate it. But let's move to Darius Slayton now, man. Darius Slayton, man.
Darius Slayton, everyone's
Darius
favorite.
Slayton. Over under 750 yards from Mr. Darius Slayton.
I'm just going to give.
I know he's Mr. 700 for you, Adam.
That's his number right there. I mean, that's just gonna push, man. I'm gonna say slightly. You said 700. I'm gonna say slightly over 700. He's gonna get his normal 750. I mean, the last 3 years he's averaged what 750, 749, but he has a lot of touchdowns. His first year he had a lot of touchdowns, but I think just with Darren Waller and Paris Campbell and a few other people, I think you're really he's gonna be about 750. So I'll say over slightly.
I mean, I'm going to go with the push there, too. That seems to be his magic number. That's kind of his wheelhouse. That's about where he gets. And I think, like I said, the Giants don't necessarily have that one standout number one wide receiver. It's going to be a lot of the ball getting spread around.
They do have a number one option, though. Not number one.
Well, they have number one option, but I'm saying I don't think we're going to see necessarily any 1,000-yard receivers in the Giants receiving corps. Is what I'm saying. It's going to be a lot of kind of balanced out numbers a little bit, guys 500, 600, stuff like that. And I think Darius Slayton will probably be right around that 750, pretty much his magic number is an area of where he usually lands. How about Mr. Slayton over under 5 touchdowns?
I'll say about push because he's averaged about that in his career. He had like 8 his first year, 3 the previous year. I think he's going to get around 5 is. It's a little much for him, but I'll leave it. I'll leave it at 5.
He said it's a little much for him. I'm gonna actually go over here, man. I think Darius Slayton might be the recipient of some big plays this year, also. And I think as long as he can actually hang on to the football, that's a big one because he has some big, very famous drops along the way in his career. As long as he can actually catch the football, hopefully I
These
think
are
he'll
his,
I think he'll get closer to that about that number 7, 8 range like he was at his rookie season.
these are his numbers real quick. He had 740 yards his rookie year, 8 touchdowns, 751 yards in 2020, and 3 touchdowns. 339 yards in the injury-plagued season of 2021, and then last year, somehow, some way, Tiger don't change his stripes. 724 yards, 2 touchdowns last year. So 5 touchdowns is not. I'm just saying, it's a bit of a. You want to go over? That's fine. I think now with more weapons, it's going to be harder for him to get over 5. So that's just me.
I'm just basing it off of I believe this New York Giants team is how last year they were pretty much dead last in big plays. I think that's going to come up this year, and there's going to be a lot more big plays to be had. And Darius Slayton is typical type of receiver that can be on the opposite end of those big plays, on the receiving end of those big plays, man. So I'm just thinking, I'm just basing it off of that. I'm just kind of being optimistic a little bit, and I think somebody's got to score. Got to score the touchdowns, and I think Darius Slayton might actually get up there 6 or 7 or so this year. Have a
I'm just
big
thinking
year as
they're
long
going
as he
to
can
spread
stay
it around
healthy.
a lot. They're gonna feature a lot of different guys in this offense by committee, receiver by committee, so to speak. Like you said,
I agree with that. I definitely agree with that.
and Isaiah Hodgins, we haven't even got to him. So you know, um,
Well, we're not going to today either, so we're going to move on to the defense now, brother. Over under, man. Defense 45 sacks for this New York Giant defense. Over under, man.
I'm going to go under until they prove me wrong. We said 40 was for Washington. I'm going to go under that. I think they'll hit about. I'm hoping they'll hit 40 sacks. I'm going to go under 45.
I have to agree with you. I'm taking the under here too, for sure. Basically, just like what you just said, you got to show me on the field. You got to prove it to me, and it's the pass rush can be disruptive, but the sack numbers just don't seem to be there. And until they prove otherwise, I'm going to have to stick with the under on that as well.
Yeah, and then Wink Martindale doesn't really have a featured guy that gets a lot of sacks in his defenses, so they spread them around. So you'll probably see a lot of guys with 5 or 6 across the board. Will that be enough to put them over the top? I don't know, but we'll see.
Absolutely, man. And how about one more over under 12 interceptions for the New York Giants?
They didn't get that many interceptions last year.
They did not.
I'm going to say under 12.
Under 12. I'm gonna go with a push here just because I feel like we have an improved secondary. I want to hope we have and just some of the opportunistic play I saw from Jason Pinnock, for instance, and hopefully maybe we can get Xavier McKinney back into the mix a little bit more. Some improved cornerback play that he can maybe get out there and do some of the things like he was doing in college that we drafted him to do for the New York Giants. So hopefully we get him back in the mix with that, and I think maybe we can get up to that number this year. So I'm gonna go with the push there and say we'd be like around that number 12. But but that's gonna be it for the New York Football Giants over unders, guys. Hope y'all enjoyed that, and it is time to move on to the Dallas Cowboys. The Dallas, what the hell? Oh, Dallas Cowboys. So let's take it from the top. Dallas Cowboys, Adam, over under 11 wins on the season.
I'm going to go push. I just think
That's about where they're at.
they won 12. They've won 12 games 2 years in a row. I think the schedule's slightly harder, but I don't think that deters them too much. But a game here, a game there. They have to be in that. They have to be in that double-digit conversation to be in the division race. I do believe to be the number one. Because remember, they're trying to go to the Super Bowl this year. I'm going to push it at 11 just because I'm going to go over because they've won 12 games in the last 2 years. I think they're going to win 12 games again. I think this team is poised for some reason. I think the football gods are silently giving this team some life, and we'll see if I'm right. But I'm going to go over. I said push, but I'll say over.
Yeah, I'm gonna stay with the push there. I think that's about where this team should be at for sure. I think if they're serious about competing with the Philadelphia Eagles, they do need to hit that over, like you said, obviously. But I'm gonna go with the push here. I think this team should be at least an 11-win team, but I'm not quite sure if they get any more than that,
Well,
man.
the thing is this: since the NFC has brought in the seventh team in the playoffs and no bye week, unless they're fighting for the top seed, they're trying to get the best record. So if they happen to win, let's say upset one team and they get to the NFC Championship game, you want to have that opportunity to do that. So, and the last 2 years they've won 24 games the last 2 years, and they've been pretty with Mike McCarthy pretty explosive on offense. They're the only team that scored 30 points a game when Dak Prescott starts in his starts. So I think they're still going to be an explosive team. They've only got more explosive this year, so they should be up there again. They don't necessarily need to win the division to get to the playoffs. So.
I mean, we know that. I mean, get to the playoffs, you just got to get there, man. It doesn't matter. You don't have to win. It's nice to win your division and get that, nice little, comfortable entrance in without worrying about the wild card. But at the end of the day, like you said, we had three teams in the division in the playoffs a year ago. So you
Okay,
know
I
how
have
that
to
can
ask
go.
this question. You said recent version of Dak. Do you mean last season? Because the season before that, he threw 37 touchdowns and over 4,400 yards. If that Dak Prescott shows up, then yes, they'll have a chance to win the Super Bowl. If Dak Prescott of last year shows up, then maybe not.
Well, okay, we on the Dak. Let's go to Dak right now. What's going on, too, though? Appreciate you stopping in, bro. But let's go to Dak right now, man. Dak Prescott over under 4,000 yards passing this season.
Over.
You think over?
Oh, he's going back over. Because people look
Okay.
at last year and think he fell off a cliff. He was injured. He was beat up. I'm not trying to make excuses, but since we make excuses for Daniel Jones, I'm going to keep it real, right? The season before that, everyone talks about like Dak Prescott's stats, and I'm not a Dak lawyer. I'm not getting paid. I'm not on his payroll, but okay, 2021 he had 4,400 yards and 37 touchdowns. The year before that, he was on pace to have 5,000 yards. He broke his leg. The year before that, he had 4,900 yards and 30 touchdowns. So when this guy is healthy, he can throw the ball. And I think he's going to go over. If the Cowboys want to be where they think they want to be, I think he's going to go over 4,000 yards. Is that what we said, 4,000?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I agree that he'll get over that number as well. I look at, his passing numbers, his passing stats, like you just said. There's no secret. He puts numbers up there on the board. But like I said, I'm also one of those guys that watching Dak. I'm yet to see Dak do it on the big stage. I'm yet to see Dak do it in a meaningful game. So that's my issue with Dak Prescott. That's my only issue with Dak Prescott is what he does when the lights are the brightest, and that's he hasn't shown me nearly enough in those situations. I've seen enough of Dak beating up on on bad teams, padding his stats against bad teams. I want to see Dak get over that hump and do something when it really matters the most. And I'm yet to see that version of Dak. But that's my only beef with Dak Prescott. I'm not going to knock the man's talent. I'm not going to knock his abilities. I'm just saying that he's yet to prove it on the bigger stage than the regular season.
But here's
But
my thing. This thing here says we're going off of the most recent versions. No, well, the most recent game, if we want to do that the Giants played wasn't against Minnesota. It was against the Philadelphia Eagles, and they got absolutely trounced. Now everyone's telling me they're going to win 11 games. Now, if we're going to do that, we're going to nitpick and do these things. Yeah, you know what I mean. Like if all things healthy, Dak Prescott's going to throw over 4,400 yards. That's just a fact. That's what he does. And I don't want to hear about nitpicking. Oh, well, he's stacked up on these bad teams. The guy's been to the playoffs a couple times, right? He's had some decent games against some big teams. We act like our quarterback's done wonders more than this guy. I think Dak Prescott gets a lot of shit, for the team that he's on. If he was on a different team, I think we'd talk about him differently.
I don't. I stand by what I said when I say Dak Prescott has not done it on a big stage, not with consistency, not nearly enough. I don't recall too many big wins Dak Prescott has, big wins in like big situations. Like I said, when the lights shine the brightest, I feel like those are the games he folds in. He tends to fold in those kind of games.
Then our guy didn't do that either. Biggest game of the year.
Well,
Biggest game
our
of the
guy
year.
didn't, but our guy did it with a JV roster, and
Okay,
you
but I'm
keep
just saying.
saying, and you can't just not look at that. We didn't not match up with the Eagles at all. And they proved that by kicking our fucking ass in the divisional round of the playoffs. Right, we did not look like we belonged on the same field as them. I agree. I hear that, but the reality is our rosters totally didn't stack up. If we didn't have a roster like Dak Prescott's had and still failed in big moments, I mean, it's just a reality. He's had good situations, the same, and he's failed in big moments. That's just the truth. I'm not going to look past that and say, oh no, no, no. He has.
Right now, we're not talking about Dak Prescott. We're talking about Dak Prescott and his season. That's what we're
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, and that's what I'm talking about. And I agree with you with the over. That's why I agree with you with the over, because that's what he does. He puts up those kind of numbers, and that's just a fact. And like you said, you can't sugarcoat that either. That is a fact. He puts up those kind of numbers, and I'm not going to deny his ability as a as a passer of the football,
This
or
guy's
as what you call it.
I love him. He's funny. He's a wise guy. It's funny. He thinks he knows a lot. It's all good.
All right, Dak Prescott. Let's stay on Dak Prescott.
I love it.
Over under 30 touchdown passes for Dak Prescott.
I'm gonna go push.
That's a good push. Push for Dak Prescott for the 30 touchdowns.
Well, he's thrown 30 twice in his career, and since you guys say that he's got this all-star team, I think 30 touchdowns is at least a reasonable ask for this guy.
I didn't say he had an all-star team, but he just has a good, solid foundation around him, and pretty much has his entire career. So I'm just saying.
I'm not getting into this because people don't understand the logic and the thought process, but and we go around in circles. So I'm not going to keep entertaining the same shit because I see the same shit being talked about in the media. And there's people give me the same things when we're talking about quarterbacks, right? And, he hasn't won the big game or hasn't done anything. And then we give the excuse of, well, this person doesn't have this or this person didn't have that and this, that, and the other thing. And it's like, we don't just look at it as a fact. If we're going to say that nobody's won the Super Bowl, even with a squad, then you got to keep it 100. And everyone that hasn't done that has to reach that pinnacle. I'm looking at it like regular season right now. Dak Prescott's one of the best regular season quarterbacks in the league. He has 61 wins. Actually, funny stat is him and Kirk Cousins have the exact same win total since 2016, which is kind of crazy.
Dang.
Him and Kirk Cousins.
I mean, he's absolutely been a rock solid regular season quarterback. You're right, but at some point you got to get over the hump, and still waiting for it.
We'll see.
With 30 touchdowns, I'm gonna take the over here because I mean, like you said, he puts up numbers in the regular season. I think coming off after last year, disappointing year for him statistically, I think he's gonna come back and have a big year statistically. Put up the numbers. He still got CeeDee Lamb out there and company. So I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go take the over. I think he gets over that 30 touchdown. I think he'll be around that 32, 33 touchdown mark.
I mean, 30 is a hard number. People think, man, 30 is hard, man. That's why I say push. I mean, because I think if he's throwing 30-something touchdowns, Cowboys are winning over 11 games. Let's put you that right now. And they won last year. They won last year when he wasn't there. But you saw what happened when he was out of the game. And I'm just saying, 30 points a game when Dak Prescott starts in the season, he's the only quarterback to have 30 points a game in his starts with the Cowboys the last 3 years. Just saying.
All right, good stuff. Let's go and move on to that running back. Mr. Tony Pollard, man, first year getting the reins, man, is as officially the guy.
That too.
Officially the guy. Tony Pollard, man, over under 1,200 yards on the ground. He had about 1,100, I believe, or something last year.
I'll give him over 100. He's a feature. 1,200, I'll give him that because that's not. I mean, I'm not saying it's not unattainable, but that line is probably pretty decent. He's going to get a lot of touches. He's going to be the featured back, and he's an explosive guy, right? We talk about Barkley. He's an explosive back as well, and I think that's where he's going to get a lot of his yardage. He's going to have some big games where he's going to have some monster games, but he's not going to have like 24 carries. He's going to have like 15 carries and $150 because he's playing the Cardinals and, they turn around and give him the ball and he's all over the place. So I think 1,200 is not that bad.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll take the push. I think that's about where he'll be floating around that number. because I got to see the commitment to the run game for the Dallas Cowboys, the true commitment to the run game. But Tony Pollard is definitely a home run hitter, and he's going to have some, like you said, some big days where he's going to have those big yardage, big chunk yards in games. A lot of a lot of long scoring, a lot of long touchdown runs. I think he'll be flirting around that number 1,200. Should be a fair number for him to be flirting around. How about over under 10 touchdowns for Tony Pollard?
I think that I think 10 touchdowns is about right.
Yeah, I think I could be inclined to slightly take the under here, just by a little bit. Just by a little bit, though. I mean, I think he may be a little short of the 10. But it's just because, like I said, I think most of his scores will be more in situations where he's breaking off long, big runs. You know what I mean? I'm not sure if he's going to have too many like situations and short yardage situations, getting little goal line touchdowns and things of that sort. So I'm thinking that he'll fall a little bit shy of the 10, just because I believe most of his touchdown runs will be like big gains, big plays.
So I have a question, but I don't know if I want to ask it yet. So let's just keep going down this road. Especially since we haven't gotten to a trivia, we want to end on some trivia questions as well. So,
absolutely, man. That's why I cruise through these rest of these. For Dallas's receivers, CD Lamb over under 1,300 yards receiving. It's about what he had last year.
CD Lamb had how many yards?
Over under 1,300 yards.
I'll say a push. I think 1,300 is pretty good for a receiver in the league. You ask for 1,000, but getting 13 is pretty good, especially when they're getting Brandon Cooks and Michael Gallup involved, and Tony Pollard will be catching passes out of the backfield as well. So I think I'll push at 1,300.
Yeah, I agree with that, and I'm gonna take actually a slight under, just a slight under too. I think he may go back a little bit. He had about 1,300 a year ago. I think the numbers could take a slight hit this year, because I think Dak will look to spread the ball around a little bit more. So, so we'll see.
Yes. Cook will have
see. We'll see, but I think I'm going to take a slight under on there. Not to say I think Lenny less of CD Lamb. I just think that Dak will look to spread the ball around a little bit more, and it'll take a little effect on his numbers a little bit.
Max has got a lot on your parlays over here. So
over under for CD Lamb, 8 touchdowns. Over under.
I'll say under, just because they're going to be spreading the ball everywhere. So, and you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if Dak Prescott had a few more rushing touchdowns this year, which takes away from a few opportunities.
What's going on, Eric Seabrook? Thanks for stopping in, bro. Appreciate you, man. But yeah, I'm gonna take the under for the exact same reason. I think, like you said, I think they're gonna be really spreading the ball all over the yard this year. They got some good talented receivers. We already just mentioned Bruco just mentioned Eric, Brandon Cooks in the chat. And they got the young kid Jalen Tolbert that had a pretty solid preseason, looking like he'll be a little more involved in the offense this year. So they got some young talent, man. A lot of talent to trade the ball, and like you say, still got Michael Gallup as well on that squad. So let's move on to Mr. Brandon Cooks, their new acquisition this offseason, man. Over under 700 yards receiving for Brandon Cooks.
Oh, he's going to get over that. He basically got that with booty-ass quarterback Davis Mills, and now he's going to be with Dak Prescott in that offense, who is top 5 and everything. So I think he'll definitely get over 700 yards.
We'll see. I mean, yeah, I can see that, but I'm not. I'm gonna. I'll take the slight over, because you're right. He's a very talented receiver that for some reason is playing on his 5th NFL team. I have no idea why this guy seems to move around as much as he does with the talent that he has. But I'm gonna go over but I'm not sure. I'm not gonna go too crazy over. I think he'll be like around that 800 range or so, just because, like I said, CeeDee Lamb is still the featured guy.
699 yards last year. I mean, he was 1 yard away from 700.
CeeDee. No, that's what I'm saying. CeeDee, he'll be close. I said I got over. I said I'll take the over, and he'll be like more around that 800 or so range. But CeeDee Lamb is still the featured guy. You got to keep that in mind. Michael Gallup is also a guy that's been a part of that offense for some time now that Dak is very comfortable with, and he's a great possession receiver for him. And like I said, you got other young kids like Jalen Tolbert coming up a little bit. that's going to be a little more involved in the offense. So I think Brandon Cooks will be that guy.
Davis Mills, not Kellen Moore.
So I'm going to take the over there for sure with Brandon Cooks. How about over under 5 touchdowns for Mr. Cooks?
I think he'll get that. I think 5 touchdowns. I think he got 3 last year. I think again he's on a better team. I think he'll get about 5 touchdowns this year.
Now I'm taking the over on that because I think that's what where he'll hang his hat. Big plays, touchdowns for the Dallas Cowboys. I think he'll get up into that maybe 7-8 range with the Dallas Cowboys. I think Brandon Cooks is going to provide that spark to their offense. But let's get to their defense, man. Dallas Cowboys defense led by number 11, Michael Parsons. Whew. Over under 55 sacks. It's a big number.
Under 55, but I think they'll be kissing that number, 50.
I'm going to take the push here. I think they'll be right, pretty much. That's about right where they're at, man. I think. They got it going on. Number 11 is just, he's no joke. And look, I'm going to say it right now. That's my guy who I'm picking for Defensive Player of the Year this year. I'm putting it out there right now here. Michael, number 11 for the Dallas Cowboys. When the season ends, will be the Defensive Player of the Year. And I think he's going to put up insane numbers this year, insane sack numbers. And they got some other guys, man. DeMarcus Lawrence is still out there, and they got other guys that can get after it, man. So I think that's about right where they'll be at around that number, man, 55. So I'm taking the push there with the sacks. All right, over under 15 interceptions. Could be setting the bar kind of low with considering they got a guy like Mr. Trayvon Diggs out there in that secondary. But over under 15 interceptions.
15 interceptions as a defense?
Yeah, as a defense.
Ooh. I'm going to go with the push. I think they'll have a decent season. Gilmore will get a couple interceptions. I think Diggs will get more with Gilmore being on the other side. So I think that number will go up a little bit. So I think I'll get the push. What's up, Mitch?
What's going on, Mitch? Thanks for stopping in, bro. But yeah, I'm gonna agree with you on that one. I think I'm gonna take the push. That's like a good number to be around. I mean, I know Diggs had the big year a couple of years ago where he had like 11 or something like that just by himself. But obviously, you don't expect to see that kind of production necessarily.
And I think
you don't expect that.
I think he'll have more because, I think if Gilmore plays adequately enough, they're going to go. A lot of people are going to switch to go to the other side. So I think that'll be, push. They'll be close.
Yeah, I agree. I'm going to go with the push on that one, too. I'm going to stick with you on that. But that's going to wrap it up for the Dallas Cowboys, man. We're going to move on to the final team in the division. Right now, currently, the Kings of the Mountain, the Philadelphia Eagles. Over under, Adam, 12 wins for the Philadelphia Eagles.
I'm saying, I'm a push. I'm a push because their schedule's a little harder, but I don't think they're going to waver too much. But maybe a game here, a game there. So I'll give them 12 wins.
As much as it pains me, I'm gonna go with the over here, man. I think this could literally be a 13. This should be at least a 13-win team, in my opinion. This team, they're just a loaded football team, man. As long as if they can have the same luck they had a year ago with the injuries and not get too many devastating ones to derail their season, I just don't see why this team shouldn't win at least 13 games at the minimum. I know their schedule's a little bit tougher this year, technically, but you know how I already spoke how I felt about that anyway. And I think this team is the cream of the crop in the NFC, period, not just the NFC East, the NFC, period. So I believe 13 wins. This team should not have anything less than 13 wins, in my opinion. So I'm taking the over. But as for Mr. Hurts, man, let's go to Mr. Hurts now. Over under 3,800 yards for Jalen Hurts.
Over.
Over. I said that without even thinking about it.
Because he was gonna do that last year, and then he got injured. He had 3,700 yards. So if he stays healthy, it's going to be easy over.
Easy over for Adam. I like that. I like the over too, man. I just think the level of play, man, his level of play just seems to keep ascending. The receiver talent is still exactly what it was a year ago. He's got 2 top receivers. He's got a top 5 tight end. He's got best O-line in football, arguably, in front of him. I just see no reason why he shouldn't kick in that 4,000 yards this year. I just don't see any reason for that. So I'm definitely taking the over as well. Over under 25 touchdown passes for Jalen Hurts.
Over under
It's a little
25
more to
touchdowns.
think about there.
I'll say over.
Over.
Yeah, because he had close to that last year.
Yeah, he did. He did. He definitely did.
Remember, he
But
didn't
my
play
thing
2
is, I'm gonna
games.
take that. I'm with no Mets, no Nets here. I'm gonna take the push on this one, just because of his dynamic running ability, and sometimes that takes away from his passing touchdowns. I think that could just take away from some of his passing touchdowns or opportunities at least. So I'm gonna take the push there. I think that's a good, solid, foundational number for him. So I'm gonna go with that. I'm gonna take the push and go to 25 with Jalen Hurts here, man. He'll be right around that number. Let's move on to the running back. Now, the Eagles' running situation is a little different than most teams. They use all of their running backs, probably more so than anybody else around the league. And but DeAndre Swift is definitely going to be their lead back. He's going to be their number one guy. And he's been a little banged up throughout his career with Detroit. But this year, he's running behind a much better offense. I mean, I shouldn't say much better offensive line, but because Detroit has a good offensive line as well. But he's running behind a better offensive line, a little bit slightly better O-line, just on a little bit better, on a better team in general. Over under for DeAndre Swift, 1,100 yards rushing.
I'm going to go under.
Under. I'm gonna go with about. I might actually agree with you, just because the Eagles utilize their back so much that it's hard to know like how much production he's going to actually have an opportunity to get, because there's going to be games where the Eagles are going to be throwing Kenny Gainwell at you, and they're going to be throwing I don't know if Boston Scott's still on the team, that little guy that drives New York Giants fans crazy, but they use their backs, man. That's one thing the Eagles definitely do. They utilize the guys on their team, man. I know Miles Sanders had a career year last year, going over 1,000, but I don't know if DeAndre Swift quite gets that same kind of love, and I think he could be a fall a little bit under, and maybe still not even get quite to 1,000 yards. But DeAndre Swift over under 7 touchdown runs.
I'll go over.
I agree. I think that's one thing the Eagles do know how to do, is put the ball in the end zone. And I think in certain situations, DeAndre Swift is going to be the recipient big time of those. And I think he'll be a double-digit touchdown guy, in my opinion. So I'm definitely going over the 7 touchdowns. All right. Still on, keep it on the ground for Jalen Hurts, man. Over under 700 yards rushing for Jalen Hurts.
700 yards rushing?
Yeah.
I'm going to go under there. I don't think they wanted to run as much as we think,
They may not want to, but his instincts are just his instincts, and and he's big playability, man. I think I'm gonna take the push. I think he'll be flirting around that number again. He definitely looks to pass, and that's one thing I expect about Jalen Hurts. He has that dynamic ability to run the football. He definitely does look to pass the football though, and but I still think his instincts take over, and when they do, it leads to big plays with his legs, and I think he'll be flirting around that 700-yard rushing number again as well. So let's move on to the receivers, man, for the Eagles, man. Over under for your guy, A.J. Brown. Over under 1,400 yards receiving, coming off a huge year a season ago.
I'm going to go under, just because I think Devontae Smith is going to take some of that heat. He's going to really ascend in his 3rd season and really kind of contend for the number 1 spot on the Eagles roster. And I think it's better for A.J. Brown to kind of be the Batman, the Robin to someone's Batman, because if he's under the radar, I think that'll help. They need someone to float the coverage on the other side. So I think Devontae Smith is going to surprise some people. And I think he's going to take some of that yardage away from A.J. Brown.
Okay, good stuff. I think I agree. I think I'm going to take the under. I think Devontae Smith does emerge a little bit more this season. I mean, he had a big year a season ago. Don't get it twisted. I'm not going to even act like he didn't.
No.
But A.J. Brown, I think his numbers take a slight hit this year. I think we see a little more Devontae Smith in the mix, and it just caused A.J. Brown's numbers to go down a little bit. He'll still have a big big year. Don't get it. I still think he'll be in that 1,300 yard range still with no problem because he's just a phenomenal receiver, phenomenal talent. And I think what you call is definitely going to get the ball to him. But over under 10 touchdowns for A.J. Brown.
I'll go push.
Go push. I'm going to go under again, man. I think, once again, it's just going to, I mean, you know how phenomenal he is, but I just think Jalen Hurts is going to spread the ball around a little bit more, try to. I mean, DeAndre Swift also being added to that team, to that offense, is also, he's also a capable receiver out the backfield. So I think he takes away a little bit from that too, from those receiving touchdowns from A.J. Brown. Devontae Smith now, over under 1,100 yards receiving.
I'm going to say over.
I'm going to take a push here. I think he'll be like about right around there because as good as he is still technically their number two. I mean, he's going to still not necessarily quite their first option in their offense. So I'm going to take I think he'll be like right around that number. You know, I'm not so sure if he'll be over. I don't think he'll be too much under. I think he'll be like right around, flirting around that number right there, about 1,100 yards. You know, both these receivers were over 1,000 yards receiving a year ago. Very talented offense. What's going on at halftime? But I'll take the push there with Devontae Smith at about 1,100 yards. Devontae Smith over under 6 touchdowns.
I'll say under 6 touchdowns because I'm giving A.J. Brown more. So.
All right. What's good, halftime? I hope you enjoyed your birthday yesterday, man. Happy birthday again, brother. I hope you really had a good time, man. I stopped in on your stream for a little bit while I was out eating, man. But show some love to Philly halftime, man. Go sub up, man. He be doing great stuff on his channel, man. Great things, man. With the Phillies streams and everything, man. So definitely check him out, man. He's a good dude, man. Working hard, individual, works very, very hard, bro. And I can respect that because I know how it's like trying to do these streams and working the kind of hours you put in out there, man. I definitely respect the grind, man. But this Philly defense, man. For as far as Devontae Smith with the touchdowns for me, you took the under. I'm taking the push again. I think he'll be like right around that number again, somewhere like that, like kind of around about that 6 touchdown range, something. You know, I think he'll be like it's about a number. He'll be like around in that area, something like that. Because like you said, with A.J. Brown out there, that's still always going to be the number one top guy as long as he's in town. So let's move to the Eagles defense that had a historic year a season ago in sacks. I didn't quite set the bar that high for him this year because that would be asking a whole lot from anybody, even a team as good as them. But I still set the bar pretty damn high. Eagles defense, over under 60 sacks.
I'm going to go over.
Woo! That's pushing for what they did again a year ago. Okay, go ahead.
Last year they had didn't they have 4 guys in double digits or some crazy number?
They did. They absolutely did.
Well, they still have 4 capable guys of getting there, and maybe even more with Nolan Smith and a few others on that roster. So you contribute, like let's say Jalen Carter gets some sacks. You get Nolan Smith get some sacks. They could still hover around that 60, 65, 70 range.
I mean, I don't want to call what they did an anomaly because, as I said, this team is very talented, and so I don't want to take away from what the guys did. But that's a big number, and the only reason I set the number that big was because of what they did a year ago. I gotta take the under here. That's like, if they do it again, then okay, then I won't even question it ever again. But I'm going to take the under here just because that's a big number, man, for me. And I can't foresee another season like a year ago where all these guys just have all these sacks again like they did a year ago. I just think that some of that has to come back a little bit, come down to earth a little bit. At least I hope so for the Giants' sake. But I'm going to take the under there, man. One more thing. Over under 15 interceptions for the Philadelphia Eagle defense. Now remember, keep in mind they lost C.J. Gardner, whatever his name, Gardner Johnson, whatever his name is, that guy. They lost him this offseason, man. He was a big. I think he might have led their team in interceptions a year ago. But 15 interceptions over under.
I'm going to say push. I think they're going to stay roughly around the same thing. I mean, when you have pass rush that leads to interceptions, and they still have big play Slade, they still have James Bradbury, they have a few other guys that they brought in. I think they'll stay right around that number.
I agree. 1,000% with you. Like you said, just with their ability to rush the passer and to cause disruption to quarterbacks, I think that definitely leads to the interceptions and the turnovers, man. So I agree. I think I'm gonna go with definitely go take the push. And actually, I'm almost inclined to take a slight over there. I think the Eagles could have an opportunistic defense just based off of that pass rush and how ferocious it can get. But that's gonna do it for our over unders. I hope y'all enjoyed that, man. Something a little different. Get y'all getting closer to the season. But now, if y'all want to hang with Adam for a little bit more, we got a couple trivia questions. Y'all want to participate in the chat with some trivia questions, man? Adam, take it away, man.
All right. Well, guys, we're going to do a couple of trivia questions for each team, not too many, just because we don't want to take up too much of your time. But let's start with the Washington Redskins, or in this case, the Washington Commanders. What were the Commanders originally called besides the Redskins? Were they the Boston Redskins, the Boston Giants, the Boston Titans, or the Boston Braves? If you guys want to participate, put your answer in the chat. I'll give you guys a few seconds to kind of get there. Don't cheat, people. Don't cheat. Where's Big Simple when you need him? Right? Where's Big Simple when you need him? He probably would know that fact. But I'm going to give I guess not many. But they were called the Boston Braves, people. The Boston Braves, believe it or not, in 1937, they were originally called the Boston Braves. So, but here's one that might be more recent. In 2004, the Washington Commanders traded Pro Bowl cornerback Champ Bailey to the Denver Broncos for what Pro Bowl running back? Edgerrin James, Jamal Lewis, Clinton Porter, Sean Allen.
They shouldn't need multiple choice for that one.
If you guys did not know, I will read the question one more time. One more again. And that was, what's that? In 2004, the Washington Commanders traded Pro Bowl cornerback Champ Bailey to the Denver Broncos for what Pro Bowl running back? Edgerrin James, Jamal Lewis, Clinton Porter, or Sean Alexander?
I know the answer. And we didn't even discuss this.
We knew it. Well, I'm going to put it in the chat just for you guys. It was Clinton Portis, if you guys remember that guy's name.
It was a head-up trade. You don't see too many of those these days.
Right. And well, one guy is a Hall of Famer. The other guy was looking to be a Hall of Famer, but he kind of fell off after he got to Washington. Who was the first Commander to rush for more than 1,000 yards in 3 consecutive seasons? Was it Terry Allen, Larry Brown, Clinton Portis, or Stephen Davis?
That's a good one.
This is a good one. And there's some good names on there. I know Mac is scratching his head with Terry Allen. I think he's thinking about that guy. It's a little bit more his era than me.
But, yeah. Remember, Terry Allen's a very good football player.
But
very good running back. It's Stephen. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sitting there. My bad.
Let's see if anybody gets the answer. I don't want to reveal it. I know, we don't have that many people in the chat, and I don't want to hang around too long, but it's trivia anyways. And, if you're listening out there and you're not participating via the chat, I'll give you the answer in a second. Just let a few more seconds off the clock just to see if anybody else chimes in. And the answer is Stephen Davis. Stephen Davis had
I almost gave it away by accident.
1,400 yards in 1999, 1,300 yards in 2000, and another 1,400 in 2001. Okay, this one probably is easy. And if anyone knows anything about football, you should get this. Who was the first Washington Commander to make more than 50 career interceptions? Dale Green, Brig Owens, Mike Bass, Sammy Ball.
I wonder who that could be.
Does anyone watch anything around here? We're getting to the other teams. My God, maybe you should, study other teams. It's the NFC East real deal roundup, not the New York Giant trivia questions. Anywho, the answer is Dale Green. Now, since who did you think? Anybody?
No, I know it was Daryl Green. I knew damn well it was. I knew it was Daryl Green before you even gave the choices.
Okay, Giant fans, since you guys are so hungry for Giants trivia and want to just kick out all the other teams on the NFC East Roundup podcast, here's question number 1 for the Giants. How much did Tim Mara, John Mara's grandfather, Tim Mara, purchase the New York Giants for in 1925? Come on, if you're a Giant fan, you should know this.
I don't know that. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know this one.
Nobody knows this one. Come on, 1925 drive. How much were they purchased for? The New York Football Giants.
I don't even have a guess. I don't know how much people was paying for that.
I guess that he probably went on Google, but $500 was right in 1925. $500. Zion, you win absolutely nothing, but thanks for playing. Next question were the New York Giants. Let's see. Wow, this might be interesting. I don't even know. No one's going to know this. So let me just see. Oh, that was not the right answer. What New York Giant receiver came to national prominence during his rookie season after a stunning one-handed catch?
Oh, come on.
If you don't know,
That's a layup.
You might as well.
That's a layup.
Might as well go back.
Please don't give choices. That's a layup. Everybody knows this one because this was recent history.
So the Redskin question was, what commander had 3 consecutive 1,000-yard seasons for the Commanders? The only running back. That was the question. Now, Mighty Tumor is not correct. OBJ is correct. I'm sure Mighty Tumor has had plenty of one-handed catches, but OBJ is the answer. Okay, next we'll do a couple more giant ones before. In 2004, what player did the New York Giants trade to San Diego Chargers for rookie quarterback Eli Manning? What player did they trade who was a New York Giant? Remember, Eli Manning is not a New York Giant draft pick. That should help you. And we're doing. Anyone? I know we only got 2 people playing right now. It looks like no Jets and Zion. Oh, Zion chimes in first again. Zion, you win absolutely nothing. You win the lint in my pocket. But Phillip Rivers is the winner. That is right. Phillip Rivers is, if anybody asks you who was drafted number 1 overall for the Giants, number 4 overall for the New York Giants. No, it was not Eli Manning. It was Phillip Rivers. Phillip Rivers is a Giant. He was a Giant on draft night and traded to the San Diego Chargers. Remember that, folks.
I got a trivia question. I got one to add to that. Who was the Giants going to choose had the Chargers not made that trade with them?
Oh, there's plenty of people. I mean, we could have said Ben Roethlisberger, but there's also Sean Taylor. So
it was Ben Roethlisberger, though. That's who the Giants were going to pick. That's who their guy was. If the Chargers didn't commit to that trade, they were going to pick Ben Roethlisberger with the number 4 overall pick, and he would have been a New York Giant.
Good question. I like them both. I don't think Rivers' personality would have fit here. But if you told me, hey, give me Eli Manning for 2 Super Bowls, I'll take Eli. Hey, I love Eli. I'm going to go to his Hall of Fame induction ceremony. I may be the only one that thinks he's going to the Hall of Fame, but if you want to meet me there in Canton, Ohio when he's there, your guys are more than welcome to come out. I will be there. But I liked Eli Manning coming out. The only thing I was mad about with Eli was how he went to get to the Giants. That was basically my only gripe with him.
I agree.
Pouting to get to the Giants was not the way to do it. But hey, you're here now. The past is the past. And let's go a little deeper into the situation here. And let's go with an older game that most people talk about. What team defeated the New York Giants in what has become known as the greatest game ever played?
Oh, I know that one.
If you're a Giant fan, watch any of the history, you should know that trivia question nonetheless.
I know the answer to that one. Dude, that's old though. That's old. You got to go all the way back, into the. I mean, you got to go way back. You got to go back to hell. My mom was a little kid then.
Well, we don't want to reveal anyone's age here. One more time, Adam. One more time. Is that the song that they sang? The question was, one more time. Who is the team that beat the Giants in the greatest game ever played? What team defeated the New York Giants in what was called the greatest game ever played? I will give you some choices.
The franchise still exists, but
it does. You know what? I won't give you anything. This is trivia. I don't want to give you any choices because then you can narrow it down. But we'll see who it is. The Baltimore Ravens / Colts. It's not the Baltimore Ravens / Colts, so you would be wrong. I'm not giving you points for credit. It is the Baltimore Colts, who are now the Indianapolis Colts, not the Baltimore Ravens, who are the Colts. That doesn't work out. But that's nice.
Nope.
Good job. I give up. Googled the Colts. What? Don't Google it. What is this, man? Stop trying to cheat.
It is the Colts, but yeah, it's like you said, it's the Baltimore Colts that is now currently the Indianapolis Colts. The Baltimore Ravens are the former Cleveland Browns.
You know what? We're having fun.
The original Cleveland Browns.
We're having fun with these giant questions here. So we're going to roll through a couple more, and then we'll get to the Cowboys in Philadelphia to wrap up the show. But we will say these next two questions are giant related questions, a little older, but if you know the team, you'll know these guys because you're a nutcase like me. The New York Giants retire jersey number 16 in honor of what former player?
Jersey number 16. I don't even know that one. Jesus.
Yes, this is way back in the Wayback Machine. If, to give it away, I'll give you a little hint, this person was on the broadcast in the 80s of Monday Night Football. He was one of the three. He was also there. He has a very rich wife.
Oh, I know who it is now.
She had a talk show as well.
I know who it is now. I didn't know that's what number he was, but okay. I know who it is now.
Mac knows. Mac, you want to reveal the answer to the folks?
I'm assuming you're talking about one Mr. Frank Gifford.
Bing, bing, bing. Frank Gifford is correct. There it is. No Mets, no Jets. No Mets, no Jets chiming in, and he gets a point if we're keeping score. You need to keep up with Zion, but you're doing a good job anyways. Let's see. There's 10 questions. You guys want to do 10 questions of the Giants? We'll do one more. And then we'll go on to the other teams. What player was named MVP in the New York Giants Super Bowl 21 victory?
Super Bowl 21? Oh, okay, I know.
Super Bowl 21.
He set a record that still stands today.
Still stands today. Hey, bookend tackles, welcome to the trivia. The question again, Zion, since you're not paying attention because you're in between puffs, I guess. What player was named MVP in the New York Giants Super Bowl 25 victory?
25 or 21?
21 victory. 21.
Oh, okay. 21.
25 is a different person, and it would not be the person you're thinking. Oh, bookend tackles has got it correct. Comes out of nowhere and nails it with Phil Simms. Phil Simms
has a completion percentage record that still stands today in the Super Bowl. Almost 25. Perfect.
And let's. I'll do one more Giants just because I like we'll do one more and then we'll get to the other things. Too easy. Wow, none of you would get that one. I don't even know that one. This one's good, and you should know. Okay, here it is. I'll give you the next two. The next two are relevantly in the era of our audience and me and Mac's era. Who did the New York Giants take with their first round draft choice in 2002? I know this one. Very easy answer. That's me answering.
Pretty sure I know this one.
Correctly.
Pretty sure I know this one. I used to have his jersey. He was my guy. He was definitely my guy. Do, do, do.
I know a lot of you are participating. This is fun stuff, so I'm trying to get it going, get it. Mac with the Jeopardy music. Is that your final answer? All right, put your pencils down.
No
Oh,
mess, no nets, no jets.
he comes in with the answer. Jeremy Shockey is correct. Zion,
Jeremy
I don't know.
Shockey.
You need to start Googling some of these answers, man.
Did big
Football
things for the
didn't
New
start
York Giants.
when you became a Giant fan. And the last question of the night for the Giants is, who was the fastest player in the NFL history to reach both 200 career receptions and 4,000 career receiving yards? It's kind of tricky because there are two guys that people might be thinking about. A couple guys, Giants have had some decent receivers in their time.
I mean,
no, I'm not saying to cheat, Zion. I'm saying go back and do your homework after this show.
Repeat the question, Adam.
The question was, after I got distracted, who was the fastest player in NFL history to reach both 200 career receptions and 4,000 career receiving yards?
I mean, I feel like it's got to be a certain somebody, but we'll wait and see what the chat has to say.
See if anybody in the chat wants
do.
Boom.
Nah, New York Giants player.
Nice. New York Giants player. This is Giants trivia. We're going to go to the Cowboys and the Eagles next. But New York Giant, who is the fastest player in NFL history? Well, it did say NFL history. So Rice is
because he was
right. It's not Jerry Rice, but good guess nonetheless.
I mean,
Barkley's not a receiver. You know what? Go in timeout, bro. Get out of here. 4,000 yards. What is this guy doing? What is this guy doing? All right. Yeah. Mac, do you have a guess?
I mean, I was going to say Beckham. I mean, too. I don't know.
Beckham Jr.
Yeah. He had his first couple years were absolutely lights out, phenomenal, man.
You're right, bookend. I did say NFL players. So that was my bad. But you're right. Rice was not the answer. It was Odell Beckham Jr. Believe it or not, he was a terror his first few seasons, and he was a fast receiver before he broke his leg. But that's all. See me rage. I'm not raging. I'm just moving on. We can't be stuck in the mud with you. All right, moving on to the Dallas Cowboys. Let's see. Let's see here. Let's see if I get this right. We'll start off with this. In what year was the city of Dallas granted an NFL expansion franchise?
You say what city?
In what year was the city of Dallas granted an NFL expansion franchise? Come on, people. You people need to.
I don't know an exact year. I think I know the decade. I don't know an exact year.
Well, give me a decade, and I'll call it a win.
I mean, I believe it was in the 60s.
Okay, you can stop right there. 1960, January 18th, 1960, the city of Dallas was awarded the NFL expansion franchise we know and love as the Cowboys. Okay, here's one that's easy. Everyone should know this one. You could be living under a rock. Zion, you can get this one. What Dallas Cowboy was affectionately nicknamed Moose?
We all know who that is, y'all.
He actually does games on Fox.
Yes, he does. Y'all know who Moose is. Yes,
Bookend Tackles with the answer. It's Daryl Johnson. Good job, Bookend Tackles. Thanks for chiming in. You win nothing, but thanks for chiming in. I know trivia, you go to trivia night and they give you points and you win something here. You just get the satisfaction of knowing some NFL shit.
Yeah, we haven't gotten to the level of giving out prizes yet, but we'll be there soon.
We will someday. Okay. Here's one, and I know you guys are going to love this. What Dallas Cowboy holds the NFL record for most passes to start a career without an interception? Oh my God, you guys are gonna. I'll give you the three. I'll give you the four quarterbacks: Tony Romo, Dak Prescott, Roger Staubach, Troy Aikman. I'm gonna give it to you because I'm just gonna give it to you. Whew.
Well, I think I know the answer.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Because I definitely can eliminate one. I was going to say I can definitely eliminate one for sure.
The question is, and the answer is, what Dallas Cowboy holds the NFL record for most passes to start a career without an interception? I think someone's already answered it in the chat.
Yeah.
Zion with the winner. It was Dak Prescott. 4 quarterbacks who were pretty good, 2 of them Hall of Famers for the Cowboys, were not that. So all those Dak lovers and haters out there, there's one for those people who he
Well,
did.
Troy Aikman was easy to eliminate because Troy Aikman's rookie season, they went 1-15, and it was a rough year
Dak
for all of those
Prescott's mark
guys.
of 176 passes broke the previous record of Tom Brady, 162, set by Tom Brady. Okay. Who was the first Dallas Cowboy to win the National Football League MVP?
Wow.
I'm getting a lot of misses.
I can take a guess.
That was
Take a guess at it, but I don't know if I don't think I'll be right. But could it be Randy White?
How's that buzzer go? Let me see. Wrong. It is Emmitt Smith. In 1993, Emmitt Smith missed all training camp and went on to have 1,400 yards rushing, 9 touchdowns, and helped the Cowboys become the first team to win the Super Bowl after starting 0-2.
I'm tripping. Randy White was a Super Bowl MVP, not a league MVP. Okay,
he also received the league MVP award and the Super Bowl MVP award. Way to go, Emmitt Smith. People need to respect the running backs. Respect the running backs. What Dallas
did back then?
What Dallas Cowboy running back set an NFL record with a 99-yard touchdown run against the Minnesota Vikings on Monday Night Football?
I know that one.
I know it as well.
He wore number 33, y'all. Give you that hint. He wore number 33.
33, come on, man. His initials are the end zone initials.
Yeah. Literally. His initials are there.
If you say
repeat the question for bookend.
What Dallas Cowboy running back set an NFL record with a 99-yard touchdown run against the Minnesota Vikings in Monday Night Football?
He just got it right. He just got it.
He did. It
he
is
hit it in the chat.
Tony Dorsett. Tony Dorsett. Book and tackles coming through with all the questions being answered. One more for the Cowboys, and we'll move on to the Eagles because I know a lot of people got dinner on the table, so we need to move it. The 2014 season ended on a turnover call of a completed catch by what receiver? The Cowboys' 2014 season ended on an overturned call of a completed catch by what receiver?
Guys. Do you know? I know. I think some of you know too. It was very controversial, and there was a very big deal made about it for weeks.
I can't tell you.
People actually still talk about it now.
It might give it away, but it happened somewhere where they wear cheese on their heads.
Yeah.
Well, no Mets, no Jets. Oh, Bryant got it. Bookend tackles again with the answer. This guy coming out being a savant. I love it. I love it. I wish I could give you something because now you've taken the lead on Zion Zenith. So there you go. And we'll do one more just for chits and giggles. Let me do this. Let me just do this. Okay. Which player holds the team record for longest reception by a rookie?
That's interesting.
Wow. You'll never guess this one. I'll give you the choices. Des Bryant, Ezekiel Elliott, Michael Irvin, Drew Pearson. You're not going to get it. No one's going to get it. Everyone's going to be stumped.
Well, I was leaning myself towards one Mr. Pearson.
Let's Let's just give it another chance. See if bookend tackles or Zion or no Mets, no Jets comes through with the answer. All right. Well, the answer would be to the question, which player holds the team record for longest reception by a rookie? That would be in a 35-30 win over the Pittsburgh Steelers on November 13, 2016. Ezekiel Elliott totaled 209 all-purpose yards, including an 83-yard reception, the longest catch by a Cowboys rookie in team history.
Wow.
And I told you guys would never go.
I was thinking Drew Pearson all the way on that one, but okay.
It was the question. Sorry, I know it was who had the longest reception as a rookie for the Cowboys. It was Ezekiel Elliott. Sorry about that. No Mets. Moving on to the Eagles. Give the Eagles some unfortunate love. Who did the Philadelphia Eagles draft to the second overall pick in 1999 NFL Draft?
Second overall pick. Oh, I don't know why I'm even thinking about that. Come on, guys.
He was on Chunky Soup commercials.
If I'm not mistaken, they booed him out the building that day.
Yes, they did.
One of the most maligned draft classes of all time for a certain position. I'll put it that way. I'll tell you that. Whew. It was some clunkers in there.
Oh, man. Back to the 99 draft. Woo.
Oh, my God. It was
You're better off looking at what's in your toilet bowl.
Goodness gracious, Dave P. You talking about a lot of people missing in that draft. Oh, my goodness gracious.
Some people were fired. I missed the question. Okay, let me open your ears again. 1999, number 2 overall draft pick. Number 2, second overall draft pick in 1999. Who was the player chosen by the Eagles?
We got the answer in the chat.
Donovan McNabb. No Mets, no Jets with the answer. Way to come back in the game. No Mets, no Jets. Way to come back in the game. I'm not keeping score, but hey, we're here to have fun, right? And
it's crazy how they booed him. The Eagle fans booed McNabb when they drafted him that year, and then he ended up being pretty much the best quarterback out of that draft class, and it probably wasn't even that close, to be honest. I mean, Culpepper had a couple of good years in Minnesota, but Kelly Smith and Tim Couch was the number one overall pick that year. Yeah, goodness gracious!
Wow, we're really dating ourselves now. My God. Okay. What Philadelphia Eagle posted 21 sacks in 1987?
Oh, 87?
Yes.
Oh, well then, yeah, I know that answer. And all of you should too. What's going on, G Nation? Lou? God.
Come on, man. We have a few gray hairs. We're not that old. So, anyway, to repeat the question, who was, the Eagle player to post 21 sacks in 1987? Let's see who gets it. Anyone? I thought McNabb was before that. I was wrong.
Come on, guys. This is kind of a layup, guys.
Easy, man.
This is kind of a layup.
Defense. Come on, I just gave it away with that one. If you don't know who the Minister of Defense is, Zion, go Google it.
Okay, guys. Nobody's putting it in the chat. Yes, okay, Bookends got it. Bookends got it in the chat. He got Reggie White.
Didn't he? Oh, Reggie White. Bookend again coming through. Bookend. Sorry, I guess you were hitting it.
Yeah, Lou.
Yeah, got
representing, bro.
What we do here, man. Anywho, let's see. Chuck Bednarik. No, we don't need him. Okay. What wide receiver did the Philadelphia Eagles acquire prior to the 2004 season, a three-way trade involving San Francisco 49ers and the Baltimore Ravens? Come on, this is easy.
Oh, yeah. Come on, this is another layup.
Another layup.
That's my quarterback. That's my quarterback.
He's my teammate.
That's in the chat. No Mets got it.
Harold Owens, T.O., no Mets, no Jets, again with the win. And we have one more question to go just so we can end it here. And this will be the last question tonight. So let me get a nice tough one for you. Let's see here.
Yeah, the Eagles ones have been kind of simple, bro. Gotta try to find a little tricky one.
Yeah, if I put this one in the chat, none of you would get it. I'm just saying. We want me to give people layups. One guy doesn't even know half the question I'm asking. He's like, what question is this? Okay. Here we go. This is probably going to. We won't end on this one because it's going to be easy. But for the one season of the Eagles and merged with the Pittsburgh Steelers, what was the team name?
Oh, I know this one. Huh.
I want to see where I want to get a question that's not from the ancient era.
Well, this is pretty old one here. The one you just asked is pretty old. That's from back in the day. It was like, I think they merged because I don't know if it was like a war or something going on during one of the wars.
World War II was going on.
Yeah, so they had to
And this will be the question we end on too. Not this one, but the one after this. I have one last one. Anybody? Nobody?
Yeah, I don't know if anybody's gonna get this one.
Steagles. They were called the Steagles. What a name. Steelers and Eagles. They put it together. How ingenious.
They just combined their names.
What an idiot. Anyways, last question that we got. What was the seating capacity of Veterans Stadium in 2002? The seating capacity of Veterans Stadium. You don't have to give me the exact number, but it is in the thousands. But I need, at least the number that it's in, like, 10s, 20s, 30s. What number it is? 75,000. Is that your final guess?
Wow.
Believe it or not, it's probably smaller than people think. We are old. I'm leaning on. I'm leaning on something right now.
But I know I've been there in that stadium when it was full and I almost got arrested.
One last question.
That stadium before.
Let me repeat it before we go. What was the seating capacity of Veterans Stadium in 2002 before they demolished it? This is not the link that they're at right now. This is Veterans Stadium. 50. No Mets, no Jets. Zion with 1 million. Oh, no Mets. Close enough. 60,000. We'll give it to you. It's 65,000.
Interesting.
65,000. Hey, listen, we already did the Giants. It's not my fault you showed up for the Eagles segment. You know what I mean? But that's the final question of the night. Thanks for playing the trivia, guys. I hope you had fun going down and learning some facts about these teams that we may or may not have already known or we learned tonight. So I appreciate you giving me a few minutes of your time. I know we ran over our show time, but trivia is always fun, and I wanted to give it a few minutes to give you guys a chance to answer. I'll throw it back to Mac.
Yeah, most definitely, man. Definitely appreciate y'all hanging in here, man, with us today. Over 2 hours, man. Been a great stream. No Mets, no Nets, no Jets, man. Been holding down the chat as usual, man. Bookend tackles, popping in, killing the trivia. G Nation, rocking your shirt, bro. Rocking that shirt, man. Representing for you, bro. G Nation, sub up to my guy Lou, man. G Nation, Inside Sports, man. Zion been with us the whole way, basically, man. Appreciate you stopping in, bro. You can catch me, Zion, and Adam Costas right here on Premium Takes Podcast on Friday night, their new night, starting this week, September the 1st. Be coming y'all way, man. So make sure y'all tune in for that. Definitely appreciate everybody that tuned in today, man. It's been a great show, man. And we will, like I said, we'll see. You can see me and Adam again with our guy Zion Zenith.
Links are in the chat.
On the Premium Takes Podcast Friday night, man. So definitely make sure y'all tune in for that. Authentic, man. Appreciate you stopping in, bro. The links is definitely in the chat. The links is in the chat. The links is in the description. So definitely make sure y'all go and sub up, man. And we'll be back next Wednesday as usual. Me and Adam Costas doing our thing, getting y'all ready for week 1, and it gets real, finally. So make sure y'all tune in next Wednesday for another edition of the Real Deal NFC East Roundup. Peace. Where my shit at? Damn. There we go. I'd like to thank you all for listening. If you was feeling this, please take time to subscribe and smack them likes. Feel free to drop a comment. Let me know what you think. Don't forget to ring that bell so you know when I'm dropping new content. It's your boy, Mac the Giants Fan. You can find me on Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook at Mac the Giants Fan. That's MacDa.